During the car accident, I shielded Fu Heching, while he shielded his childhood sweetheart, just like how I was the one who protected Fu Heching from debt collectors, helped repay his debts, and stood by him as he rebuilt his life. Yet when interviewed on TV, he only thanked his childhood sweetheart for writing him an encouraging letter years ago. It took nearly losing my life to wake up, given a second chance. His childhood sweetheart declared her claim, no matter how you seduce him. He's always loved me, you'll never steal him away. I couldn't help but laugh. Did she seriously think Fu Heching could regain his billionaire status just by having her around? 5. The car crash happened in an instant. A screeching sound pierced the air before everything spun violently. Instinctively, I threw myself toward Fu Heching. Hearing muffled groans of pain, my eyes flew open reflexively, only to see Fu Heching shielding Chu Meng tightly in his arms. The car flipped completely. Without a second thought, I crawled out through the shattered window and saw Fu Heching's forehead covered in blood. My heart skipped a beat as I desperately yanked at the car door. Perhaps people truly summon extraordinary strength in emergencies. Against all odds, I actually managed to pry the door open. Fu Heching's hands were drenched in blood, while Chu Meng had a head wound with several glass cuts bleeding on her face. Don't be afraid, it's alright. You're safe now. I comforted the visibly panicked Fu Heching while helping carry the unconscious Chu Meng out. Traffic came to a standstill as crowds gathered, with traffic officers and medics arriving shortly. Fu Heching carried Chu Meng into the ambulance while the driver was rescued in time. I sighed in relief before belatedly noticing the pain in my hands. My palms were embedded with glass shards, making the approaching doctor gasp in horror. I thought I was just shocked by my own ghastly appearance. The moment I tried to say I'm fine, a surge of heat rose in my throat and I coughed up blood. It's one of those morbid truths you only learn after death. The person who seems completely unharmed after a car crash, even helping others, might actually be the most severely injured. When internal organs rupture, the adrenaline spikes, or in layman's terms, it's that final rally before the end. Death comes swiftly after that. After hours of trying, I only managed to reach my agent. My agent froze for a moment before frantically making calls. I knew he was trying to contact Fu Heching. A kind soul at the hospital told him Fu Heching had urgently transferred another injured girl abroad via private jet, worried about potential facial scarring if delayed. The post-mortem procedures are straightforward, with no living relatives. I'll go straight to cremation. About 10 days later, Fu Heching contacted his agent, saying Chu Meng needed constant care and he'd postpone his return. He also asked why my phone was unreachable, telling me not to be childish and wait for his return. The agent's lips moved soundlessly several times before Fu abruptly ended the call. I drifted through days and a days until Fu finally returned with Chu Meng safe and sound. He stood dazed before the grave, his expression devoid of grief, more a look of relief. After all, out of gratitude for my kindness, he'd proposed to me, even knowing Chu Meng occupied his heart. That years-long obsession made him unwilling to let go, clinging to the belief time could change everything. But this time, I lost completely. Chu Meng wept quietly, murmuring self-reproaches as Fu Heching held and comforted her. This wasn't your fault. No one could have prevented such an accident. What I owe Nanfeng, I'll repay in the next life. Chu Meng nodded gently. Don't worry Nanfeng, I'll take good care of Heching for you. Only in death did I realize how utterly foolish I'd been. Watching those two hypocrites at my grave made me so furious I felt my spirit dissipating. May their ancestors rot for eternity. If reincarnation exists, I pray we never cross paths again. 5. Waking with a splitting headache from someone's rough shove, my hand lashed out instinctively the moment I recognized who stood before me. Fu Heching seized my wrist, flung it away with force, and glared at me through narrowed eyes. What the hell is wrong with you? Staggered by the sudden shove, I steadied myself against the desk in shock. Looking around, I realized I was standing in the familiar classroom, with the college entrance exam countdown display hanging above the blackboard. What nonsense did you tell Meng Meng? Fu Heching's face was twisted with anxiety. She didn't even come to evening self-study today. If anything happens to her, you'll be held responsible. Now I understood exactly when I'd returned to this was just a few days after Fu Heching had agreed to be my boyfriend. I was the one who confessed first, and his acceptance shocked everyone, including myself. After all, his feelings for Chu Meng were an open secret. They'd been childhood sweethearts, classmates from kindergarten through high school, inseparable all those years. Taking care of her was practically coded into Fu Heching's DNA, but I genuinely liked him. I'd had a crush since transferring here sophomore year, and with our families having business ties through relatives, His parents actively encouraged us. He'd always tag along during their visits. When Chu Meng found out, she gave him the cold shoulder and started calling some delinquent-looking buzzcut guy big bro off campus. Everyone could tell this was deliberately provoking Fu Heching. Chu Meng's temper flared, and no amount of coaxing from Fu could calm her down. Worried she might be taken advantage of, he had no choice but to follow her every step. Having this refined, handsome top student groveling so meekly stroked Chu Meng's vanity, but it rubbed the buzzcut guy the wrong way. He called his lackeys to beat up Fu Heching when he chased them to the pool hall. By the time I sent someone to intervene, half of Fu Heching's face was swollen, his lip bruised. Yet his piercing eyes remained fixed on Chu Meng as he rasped, "Come home with me." Chu Meng glared at me standing beside Fu Heching, tilting her chin defiantly. "You've got her now, why bother with me? Cut it out, I can explain." "Cut it out, so I'm annoying now. Fine, go find someone sweet and considerate then. May you and An and Feng live happily ever after." Fu Heching could still keep his temper with her, but I'd had enough. "He got beaten to a pulp for you. Is this how you treat him?" Chu Meng got even more worked up. "What's it to you if he's willing? Stop pretending you like him. Don't you? If you've got what it takes, then go ahead and steal him away." Since Chu Meng had called me out, I saw no point in denying it. With the college entrance exams approaching, we'd all go our separate ways soon anyway. There'd be no chance for me to cross paths with Fu Heching again, so I turned to look at him. "I do like you, would you be willing to give us a try?" The crowd around us started jeering. Without even glancing my way, Fu Heching simply asked Chu Meng, "You coming or not?" Chu Meng stiffened her neck with a defiant smirk, as if determined to witness my humiliation. "I'm not leaving. She just confessed to you. Aren't you going to accept?" Fu Heching gave me an indifferent nod, his expression icy. "We can give it a try." Stunned, I barely registered him grabbing my hand and pulling me outside. Only then did Chu Meng snap out of her daze, shoving past us with a sob before sprinting away, Fu Heching chasing after her without a backward glance. At the time, I didn't care whether Fu Heching agreed out of spite toward Chu Meng or because his family sought business ties with mine. This perfectly justified opportunity was an irresistible temptation. Perhaps it was youthful arrogance. I truly believed I could change Fu Heching. Convinced I'd suit him better than capricious girls like Chu Meng. How wrong I was. When Chu Meng spouted nonsense at me and ran off, he didn't even ask for my side, just took her word and came at me accusingly. In my past life, seeing Fu Heching's panic made me frantic too. I rushed to help him search for her to clear my name, blind to the truth. He never wanted facts, just her. "Speak." Fu Heching's voice lashed at me, sharp with impatience. I narrowed my eyes. "Why should I be responsible if something happens to her? What gives you the right to question me? Do you even remember whose boyfriend you are?" Fu Heching paused mid-sentence when his phone vibrated twice. After glancing at it, he grabbed my arm and pulled me outside. "Let go." I struggled against his grip. "Where the hell are you taking me?" "Meng Meng says she'll forgive you if you just apologize." I was so furious I could laugh. Fu Heching completely ignored how I might react and shoved me into the taxi he'd hailed. "She's hanging out with those hoodlums again. I know all the shops on that street belong to your uncle. I want you to drive those people away." I arched an eyebrow at him. "Or what?" Fu Heching looked at me with absolute confidence. "Or I'll have to reconsider our relationship." He's blatantly using my affection for him as leverage to threaten me. I couldn't help but laugh, imagining what would happen next, and warned him kindly, "You'd better stay out of this." 5. Of course, Fu Heching wouldn't listen to me, frantically urging the driver on. He spotted a commotion under the neon lights down the street. "Meng Meng." Before the car even came to a full stop, he rushed over and shielded her in his arms. The gangster leader bristled at the sight of him, jabbing a finger angrily in his face. "You reckless bastard, you fucking ruined my plans again." Chu Meng seemed petrified with fear, clinging desperately to Fu Heching while sobbing hysterically to leave. "Get lost." Fu Heching tried to leave with her, but was blocked by some punk with bleached hair. "You little bitch dared to trick me, and this pretty boy thinks he can play hero." The buzzcut man threw down his cigarette. "Nobody's leaving today." Fu Heching shoved Chu Meng aside and kicked at his attacker, only to be knocked down from behind and pinned to the ground in a beating. Chu Meng screamed for help. 2 students from their school recognized her and rushed to assist, while others began calling the police. I watched from a safe distance, frowning slightly. The location of this brawl differed from my past life's memory, and it had started earlier than expected. The gangster tried to pull Chu Meng away when Fu Heching, eyes bloodshot, scrambled up from the ground and lunged at him in a frenzied attack. As police sirens approached, most hoodlums scattered in panic. The buzzcut thug attempted to flee too, but Fu Heching refused to let go, cornered. The buzzcut man spewed curses until Fu Heching suddenly cried out. A fruit knife now protruded from his right palm. Chu Meng rushed forward in tears to support Fu Heching, then turned toward me with venomous hatred burning in her eyes as she screamed, "Why didn't you help? Why didn't you take that knife for him?" Suppressing the turmoil in my heart, I realized this Chu Meng might have also been reborn, after all. In our past life I did take a blade for Fu Heching. The wound wasn't on my hand but left a grotesque scar snaking down my arm like a twisted centipede, making me abandon short sleeves forever. Perhaps out of guilt, Fu Heching became noticeably kinder afterward. Foolishly, I mistook his pity for affection, even believing the disfigurement was worth it. Then came the family's sudden bankruptcy after the college entrance exams. By that time, Chu Meng had already followed her family's arrangements and left early for university registration. I'd even foolishly rejoiced that I'd be the only one by his side, naively believing that enduring those hard days together would make me irreplaceable in his life. Just remembering this makes me feel utterly hopeless in my stupidity. Chu Meng before me seemed particularly unable to accept reality. I retorted expressionlessly, "You were closer. Why didn't you shield him?" Chu Meng completely ignored what I said, adhering to her own moral code. "Do you realize the college entrance exams are just days away? How could he afford to injure his hand?" Chu Meng hysterically lashed out at me as if I were solely responsible for Fu Heching's condition. The realization suddenly hit Fu Heching, draining all color from his face as his legs gave way beneath him. 5. News of Fu Heching's injury caused quite a stir. He was the school's star pupil. Yet this happened right before the national college entrance exams. The perpetrator was swiftly apprehended. Fu's parents vowed to make them pay dearly, and through their relentless pursuit of justice, the full story eventually came to light. Fu Heching would never let Chu Meng take any blame, choosing to shoulder all the responsibility alone. Father Fu glared at him in exasperation. "How can you possibly take the exams in this state? Are you planning to repeat a year? Do you realize how much can change in 12 months, at your age? You should know better than to act without considering the consequences." Clenching his teeth, Fu Heching retorted, "I can do it, even with this injured hand. I'll get into university." Mother Fu's shrill voice chimed in, "Not all universities are equal. The connections and resources at elite institutions are beyond comparison with ordinary colleges. You were supposed to compete for the top scholar title. Do you have any idea how crucial those academic achievements and reputation are?" Fu Henian remained unmoved, while Chu Meng beside him quickly reassured, "Uncle, Aunt, don't worry, I'll take good care of him, stay by his side always, and take full responsibility." "What responsibility can you possibly take? Your parents, those holier-than-thou types who've always looked down on us money-grubbing folks. My son got hurt like this for you, yet your parents couldn't even bother to visit. And they dare call themselves some refined intellectual family. What a joke." "Mom," Fu Heching interjected urgently, shielding Chu Meng, "don't mom me, look at you, throwing yourself at them like some pathetic doormat. Might as well have raised a son for nothing." Dad Fu chimed in, "What's gotten into you? Weren't you dating someone from the Yin family? Don't you realize how much easier your life would be if you stayed within Nanfeng?" Her parents divorced and started new families. They both abandoned her. All she's got is an uncle looking out for her. How exactly would that make my life easier? Besides, I don't need to rely on anyone to live well. Fine, you've got spine, no one can control you now. Fuming, Mr. and Mrs. Fu slammed the door on their way out. I stepped out from the adjacent hospital room and heard muffled sobs through the door, with Fu Heching murmuring gentle reassurances. "I'm fine. I believe talent won't be wasted no matter which university I attend. As long as I have the ability, I believe in you. You're the best and will definitely make your own way to success." Chu Meng's voice cracked before she continued, "So, how are you planning to handle things with An and Feng?" As Fu Heching hesitated, Chu Meng pressed anxiously, "I know she's pretty and dresses well, always speaking softly to you, much more considerate than me. I'd understand if you liked her a little, but I don't like her, not at all. Can't you see how I truly feel about you? It's just family business, we can't afford to offend her now. If she goes home spreading nonsense, all the connections my family's built over time could be ruined, and if that happens, my parents might think even less of you." I couldn't help but laugh. Poor young master, going through all that mental gymnastics for nothing. "I understand, if you need to be with her first for our future, I can accept that, but promise me, no matter how she treats you, you won't develop feelings for her, never." "I'll prove it to you. You're the only one I want to spend my life with. I know, I believe you. I just can't bear to lose you again. Chu Meng began crying anew. I'm just scared of losing you. Watching Chu Meng care for him so deeply, Fu Heching wished he could tear his heart out to show her. Just wait a little longer. I'll break up with her soon. No need for the trouble. I pushed open the door, seeing the two nestled together in the hospital room. We can end it right now. 5. Fu Heching froze momentarily at the sight of me before quickly regaining his composure. Feelings can't be forced. I never meant to hurt you. I watched Fu Heching's nonsense with cold detachment. Never meant to hurt me. In my past life, he exploited me to the bone, leaving me with a pathetic end, yet these two still had the gall to gloat at my graveside. So revolting, I never want anything to do with them again. Please don't take your anger out on my family because of me, Fu Heching. Do you really think you're some irresistible prize that everyone would grovel to chase after? All this nonsense just proves you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. Fu Heching's face darkened. You were the one who confessed to me first. I only spared your dignity by not rejecting you outright, and now you're saying I'm in the wrong. No, you're perfect. It's me who's been delusional. You two deserve each other. May you rot together. As I turned to leave, Chu Meng unexpectedly ran after me and blocked my path. Nanfeng, you're back too, aren't you? No matter what push-pull games you're trying to play this time, I won't let you get anywhere near Heching again. Chu Meng stared at me nervously after speaking, desperately searching my face for answers. Are you out of your mind? To my surprise, Chu Meng actually relaxed upon hearing this, her eyes brimming with unconcealed triumph as she gazed at me with possessive satisfaction. No matter how you try to seduce him, his heart has always been mine. Whatever comes our way, I'll stand by him. I couldn't help but laugh. Did she seriously think Fu Heching could magically regain his glory just by her staying by his side, as if that would clear all obstacles between them? I'd love to see if such a perfect fairy tale actually exists. The real test hasn't even begun. Fu Heching didn't return to school, opting to recuperate in the hospital while preparing for college entrance exams. The story of him wrecking his hand to protect Chu Meng spread like wildfire, with their class chat buzzing non-stop about it. We were classmates since middle school. I wouldn't bat an eye if Fu Heching threw his life away for Chu Meng. How ridiculously romantic, straight out of a K-drama. My parents would skin me alive if I hurt my hand before the college entrance exams. Wasn't Fu Heching supposed to be dating in Nanfeng? Not sure if it's true, but in Nanfeng isn't bad either. She's way more accomplished than Chu Meng in every aspect. You don't get it. Matters of the heart can't be measured by these standards. I had my notifications muted, but right after the college entrance exams, my globe-trotting uncle roped me into doing store inspections for him. My favorite spot became the newly renovated internet cafe, where I ran into several classmates who'd gone completely wild after exams, all trying to haggle for monthly membership deals. Before the Gaokao results were even released, news about the Fu family scandal was already spreading like wildfire. The fuss were nouveau riche who'd risen rapidly in the past decade, aggressive, money-driven climbers who'd tasted the thrill of striking gold by catching trends. Their investment style bordered on gambling. Someone had figured out this couple's weaknesses and orchestrated a scheme against them, leaving them bankrupt overnight and drowning in massive debt. Fu Heching's parents went into hiding separately, relatives turned their backs, no one would touch that financial black hole, everyone cut ties, leaving the unprepared Fu Heching alone, hounded by creditors like a stray dog, constantly on the run. In my past life, he'd been squatting in my internet cafe's basement, now with Chu Meng, who's convinced he'll make it big someday, helping him. His living conditions must have improved considerably, but I spoke too soon. When I opened the cafe door early Saturday morning, there he was, sitting on the front steps. Fu Heching walked in with his head down, chose a seat at the very back, pulled his cap low and slumped over the table to sleep. I went back to my little nest to catch up on sleep, didn't wake until mid-afternoon, then returned to the front desk carrying takeout. A classmate borrowing the computer to play games pointed at the nearby surveillance monitor. I glanced over. Chu Meng was sitting in the seat next to Fu Heching. The two locked in silent tension without exchanging a word. The streets around here empty out after 9 p.m. I usually lock up past 10, with only the overnight regulars remaining. On the surveillance feed, Chu Meng stood up and reached out to pull Fu Heching, but he remained still. Tears streamed down her face as she wiped them away, murmuring something. I was watching the show when the wind chimes at the door jingled. Two tattooed men walked in, squinting. I pulled out a baseball bat from under the table and rested it against the surface. Top up your balance over here, I said, then pointed at the security camera overhead. "You're not here to cause trouble, right? This feed goes straight to the police station." The smoking guy scanned the room, then turned and left. Before long, Chu Meng dragged Fu Heching away in haste, shooting me a glare as they passed the front desk. Moments after exiting, a piercing scream rang out. 5. A classmate stood up, craning their neck to look outside before shouting into the internet cafe. Immediately, 5 or 6 others scrambled to their feet and rushed out in a flurry. I ambled along behind them, only to get cornered at this very intersection after all. Fu Heching lay sprawled on the ground as someone moved to drag him up, but Chu Meng threw herself over him protectively. "Hey boss. You in or out?" My classmate turned to ask me. Boys at this age are all reckless bravado and restless energy. I frowned. "See those muscles? One punch from him would send you back to your ancestors." My classmate fell silent. Truth be told, I had no room to judge. In my past life, Fu Heching got caught right here too. The difference was, when I heard the commotion as he tried returning to the internet cafe, I charged in swinging a steel pipe like a madman, clearing anyone who dared approach him without a second thought. At this moment, Chu Meng took her place, screaming through tears with a voice so shrill it could split eardrums, trying to frighten everyone away. "Damn bitch won't shut up. Pretty face though, could fetch a decent price." The moment those words landed, the surrounding men erupted in sinister laughter. Only then did Chu Meng truly panic. Fu Heching scrambled up clumsily, shielding her in his arms. "I won't run, I'll pay every cent I owe." "How dare you? You're not even worth spare change if we sold you for parts." Someone grew angrier with every word and delivered another kick, knocking both to the ground, while others grabbed at Chu Meng. "No, let me go. Don't touch me." Chu Meng wept uncontrollably, her face streaked with tears and snot, utterly terrified as she desperately clung to Fu Heching. "Lay a finger on her, and you won't see a single cent." Fu Heching's roar snapped me out of my daze, the exact same words he'd shouted when holding me, equally mocked by these men back then. So in such situations, this was simply his default reaction to anyone helping him, no profound testament to anything. The police sirens pierced the night with unusual clarity, growing louder as the lead man issued a warning to Fu Heching. "This isn't over, and you won't get away with it." Fu Heching's face was battered and bruised, his usual refined elegance gone. The disheveled Chu Meng in his arms fared no better. Several classmates rushed to help them up. Though the danger had passed, Chu Meng grew furious at being seen in such an undignified state and shoved them away. "Who needs your fake concern now?" Fu Heching was dragged away by Chu Meng, probably heading back to the Chu residence. I know too well how bitter it feels to live under someone else's roof. I'd tasted that humiliation many times after my parents' divorce. That's why I always took extra care to preserve Fu Henian's masculine pride when I took him in. Back then he'd just suffered a terrible fall from grace. He lay wasting away in the darkest corner of the basement, refusing food or water. When nobody came for him by the 3rd day, I shook him awake, thrust fresh clothes into his arms, and told him to clean up and eat something. His eyes were red from the steam when he swore to me, vowed he'd never betray me in this lifetime. The promise of a penniless boy carried little weight, yet I chose to believe. After what felt like ages, Chu Meng finally tracked him down, coughing violently in the damp basement. She heard Fu Heching tell her not to come looking for him again. Between Chu Meng's silent tears and Fu Heching's gentle farewell, I mistook it for their final parting. Only now do I understand. He was shielding her, unwilling to drag her into his troubles. Loan sharks harassed them relentlessly. When college entrance results came out, Fu Heching emerged as the undisputed science champion, his scholarships totaling over 500,000 yuan, barely enough to cover the mounting interest, but he hired a lawyer, contacted the creditors, and formally took over the debt. Finally, someone showed up who could communicate like a normal person. While Fu Heching's parents were desperately playing dead to avoid responsibility, he dared to shoulder that massive debt. Back then, I thought he was truly remarkable. Imagining a future with someone so responsible by my side, I was certain he'd never abandon me, that he'd treat me exceptionally well, even better than how he treated Chu Meng. Fu Henian's intel was spot on. After my parents' divorce, they both started new families and had other children. Their divorce was so vicious it felt like a blood feud. Neither wanted custody of me. I drifted between relatives like a stray dog until this distant uncle, a lifelong bachelor who never wanted kids, took pity on me. He transferred me to a local school, finally giving me stable housing. Starved for affection, I became obsessed with how openly Fu Heching doted on Chu Meng. my desperate fantasies hardened into delusions. If I could just be with him, I'd finally feel securely loved. Only now do I see Fu Heching's cunning. Once he realized my usefulness, he mirrored my emotional needs perfectly, wrapping me around his finger with terrifying ease. 5. When college entrance exam results came out, Fu Heching wasn't even the top science student anymore. Chu Meng outscored him. The farewell banquet was held at the city's finest hotel, with students from our school filling several banquet halls. As drinks flowed freely, everyone mingled and gossip spread like wildfire, with Fu Heching and Chu Meng becoming the hottest topic of the night, with neither of them present. Classmates who knew snippets of their recent lives held court with animated storytelling. He's working part-time at Rainbow World, gotta earn his own tuition somehow. What was Chu Meng thinking? She actually enrolled at the local vocational college with Fu Heching. My mom would skin me alive if I pulled a stunt like that. She's causing absolute chaos at home. Rumor has it she even threatened suicide, drove her mother straight to the hospital, called her father a snob, and swore Fu Heching would shock the world someday. Mark her words. He'll make everyone eat their words. Even my uncle, who's been day trading A-shares from his basement for 8 years, isn't this unhinged. Let's be real. We all know exactly what kind of place the local vocational college is. I clinked glasses with classmates over ice-cold beers as this gossip circulated. Truth is, Fu Heching's no longer the inspirational valedictorian. No scholarships, no connections with future mentors or peers who could give him a leg up. But he had his beloved Chu Meng by his side. When you're in love, even plain water tastes sweet. What truly mattered was their lasting happiness together. After passing both art and academic exams, I enrolled alone at the Imperial Capital Academy of Music and Drama. In my past life, it was just Fu Heching and me. Back then, he studied at Peking University, mingling with brilliant minds nationwide. Though competition prizes and scholarships barely made a dent in his debts, they covered his living expenses. I earned my first paycheck singing at a bar. My cover of that year's talent show song went semi-viral, and soon newly opened bars started reaching out. The bar owner brokered a couple deals and became my manager, convinced I was wasting my talent. He even signed me up for legit singing competitions. Only later did I learn advancement required payoffs. The whole system was rigged. While I wanted to earn money to help Fu Heching clear his debts faster, I couldn't bear being too far from him. Sometimes he'd sit nearby as my manager spun grand fantasies about conquering showbiz. The way he'd look at me, like he had so much left unsaid, always melted my resolve. Back then I was hopelessly love-struck, turned down my uncle's offer for overseas study and rejected my professor's referral to the opera troupe. Desperate for money, I took every lucrative commercial gig and small-scale concerts I could get, even performing at weddings during my most hustling days. Late-night gigs were routine. When Fu Heching had time, he'd show up with his laptop to pick me up after work, though his screen always displayed some academic project he was helping Chu Meng with. Though seething inside, I kept my complaints to myself, couldn't bear making things difficult for him by voicing them. When truly upset, I'd take out-of-town gigs to cool off. Returning days later, Fu Heching would always come explain, insisting repeatedly that Chu Meng was just like a sister to him and I shouldn't overthink it. Back when I was killing myself to pay off his debts, all it took was a few sweet words from him to make me give him everything. He must have been laughing at me behind my back. Well, this time there won't be any dumb sucker for him to take advantage of. 5. Amidst the glittering lights of the capital's bustling nightlife, I ran into my former agent, now a portly bar owner, who drunkenly asked if we'd met before. I smiled and nodded, eyes stinging. When he found out I was a drama student, he advised me against drinking to protect my voice, even suggesting I should avoid bars altogether. I thanked him sincerely for helping me in my past life and accompanying me on my final journey. After finals, I rushed home for a quick meal with my uncle before his overseas flight. When he asked about my plans and heard I wanted to study abroad, he smiled. I bought a few properties overseas. You can manage my foreign business when you're there. That'll take a load off my shoulders. Oh, and don't forget to inspect the shops, hand out generous red envelopes to the staff. I barely visit these days, and you'll be gone too. After New Year's, I'll have someone wind down those small stores. I nodded and began leisurely making my rounds to check the shop's accounts, eventually ending up at the internet cafe. Hey boss, I turned at the voice and laughed at my classmate in his dusty work uniform. What are you up to, looking all rough like this? We got an early break and late start this semester. Mom kicked me out to be an apprentice, welding billboards for folks. At least my internet cafe money's covered now. Damn impressive, the classmate flashed a toothy grin. You're the impressive one, college in the big city really changed you. I wouldn't have recognized you if I hadn't heard your voice. Ever heard of makeup? Unless you're missing facial features, anyone can look good with the right skills. The classmate chuckled knowingly, as if remembering something else. Oh yeah, Chu Meng's looking for you. I thought I misheard. Who, Chu Meng? I was surprised, yet not entirely. What does she want with me? She wouldn't say, but she didn't look well. I thought it might be urgent, but she kept silent. The classmate scratched his head. Heard from others recently, she's apparently dropping out to retake the college entrance exams. This town is small, finding me wouldn't be hard. The next morning, as I stepped out of a breakfast joint near the internet cafe, I spotted Chu Meng instantly in her long white down coat. She looked like a different person, pale-faced with exhaustion dulling her eyes. She said, "And Nanfeng, we need to talk." I had no intention of talking. There was nothing left to say. When I tried sidestepping her, Chu Meng stubbornly blocked my path, then trailed me when she couldn't stop me. Now you're just being difficult. Help him, won't you? Chu Meng's voice cracked with tears. Don't you care for him? How can you just stand there watching him? Chu Meng lowered her head to wipe her tears. The rest of her words caught in her throat. I don't understand what you're saying. Stop playing dumb. Chu Meng glared at me with reddened eyes. I knew it was you the moment we met. His hand shouldn't have been injured. He was supposed to be the top science student. After his family's misfortune, he changed completely. He thinks everyone's mocking him, looking down on him. Chu Meng couldn't understand what she'd done wrong. She was at her breaking point. She saw absolutely no hope of Fu Heching making a comeback. Everyone thought she'd lost her mind, sacrificing so much just to stand by such a worthless man. She couldn't bear this torment any longer. She regretted it. He wouldn't even step outside. I paid his tuition and living expenses. My family even helped negotiate with his creditors. How did it come to this? Why? Chu Meng was losing control, frantically tearing at her own hair. I took 2 steps back to create some distance. Was it you? Did you put a curse on him? Take him back. I swear I'll never see him again, not in this lifetime. Meng. Fu Heching huddled in a thin coat, his gaunt frame painfully apparent. Despite the biting cold, he wore only grimy sneakers, his face far more weathered than I remembered. When our eyes met, his gaze darted away at first, then suddenly locked onto me with a strange, desperate hope. Chu Meng recoiled from Fu Heching as if he were the plague, shoving him toward me with visible panic. Go after her, beg her, she can help you. Fu Heching reached for Chu Meng's hand, only to have it violently shaken off. Don't touch me, look what you've reduced me to. What more do you want? Can't you be useful for once? You're utterly incompetent. Meng, please don't be like this. I know I've let you down again. I'll change. I'll study hard. I swear I'll give you a better life someday. Shut up. Chu Meng clamped her hands over her ears. You won't change. You're not Fu Heching. The real him was never like this. Go pester in Nanfeng instead. She can make you rich. Hurry, go beg her. She's so infatuated with you, she'd never refuse any request you make. No, Meng, please don't do this. You're scaring me. I only love you. There's no one else in my heart. Get off me. Chu Meng shoved Fu Heching away as he tried to cling to her. Who wants your worthless affection? Chu Meng turned and fled, while Fu Heching scrambled up from the ground to chase after her. I silently turned and walked the opposite way, but hadn't gone more than 2 steps when a screech of brakes pierced the air. People were shouting something in the distance, crowds moving that way. Fu Heching was screaming for help. I stopped in my tracks, frowned, and turned around. The driver who hit her looked utterly panicked, babbling explanations to bystanders. She darted out suddenly. I was just driving normally. It was her fault. Fu Heching struggled to lift Chu Meng. The stark bloodstains on her white clothes made me wince as I called an ambulance. At this point, I'd done all anyone could reasonably expect. And Nanfeng, don't go. Please, I'm begging you. Could you lend me some money? Fu Henian pleaded desperately. I followed them to the hospital where Chu Meng was rushed into the ER. When staff called for a signature, Fu Heching's hand trembled as he signed. We can't save the baby, but we'll do everything to save the mother. Fu Heching slid down the wall and collapsed onto the floor. I was stunned. No wonder Chu Meng had been so emotionally unstable. In his past life, Fu Heching returned in glory after achieving fame and fortune, cradling Chu Meng in his palms with devotion. Yet with me standing between them, he couldn't openly claim her. Even when she drunkenly embraced him and initiated a kiss, he never crossed the line. Back then, I kept deluding myself, making excuses for him. clinging to the belief that at least this proved he had some decency, but now, how dare he? Chu Meng's family rushed over and slapped Fu Heching repeatedly outside the operating room. Fu Heching stood there dumbly, and seeing him like this, I felt absolutely nothing, as if I were merely spectating some strange, tedious farce. I left. 5. After the spring festival, as I prepared to return to school, Fu Heching showed up again. His clothes were still thin, but it was obvious he'd made careful efforts within his means to tidy himself up. At least his clothes were neat, his face clean-shaven, his hair freshly cut, even styled. I paused to study him, knowing he'd never been a fool, always quick to identify the optimal choice in any situation. And, I came to thank you for your help the other day. No need. Looking at Fu Heching now, I detected something unsettlingly familiar about him, stripped of illusions. His every move revealed calculation and probing. No matter what you think of me, I wronged Meng, I'll repay the money I owe you. Thank you for still being willing to help me. I hurt you before when I was too young to know better. Stop pretending. Fu Henian, you don't just understand, you understand all too well. I laid it bare, sparing him no courtesy this time. In our past life, the first event we attended after our triumphant return was Chu Meng's birthday banquet. He'd rushed back without consulting me. That pink diamond necklace he gifted was an exhibition piece I'd admired for ages. When I learned he'd bought it, I played oblivious, thinking it was meant to surprise me. To my surprise, he immediately regifted it to Chu Meng. Her face lit up with delight as she hugged him and asked him to help put it on. That carefree laughter still belonged to Fu Heching's pampered little princess. My heart ached with bitterness, yet I forced a smile and excused myself early. I waited alone in the hotel room for Fu Heching the entire night. He didn't return until noon the next day with a perfunctory bouquet of roses, claiming it was a gift mix-up. But since a local project required the Chu family's connections, he couldn't afford to be impolite and had to let the mistake stand. The project did get secured eventually, with substantial help from the Chu family. Left speechless, I even began questioning myself. Was I being overly sensitive and petty with my constant suspicions? He was constantly testing my boundaries with him, already established and successful. He knew how crucial reputation was. What I mistook for respecting limits was likely just him avoiding consequences too costly to bear. Truth is, I'd already hit that wall long ago, just smashed into it so hard there was no crawling back. In that gamble, I staked everything and lost down to the marrow, like waking from a pipe dream. Now he seems utterly ordinary, failing even to mask that base male instinct. The glow I once saw around him, turns out it was just my own light reflected. I never intended to seek revenge. This precious second chance isn't worth wasting a single moment on him. The only outcome I was mildly curious about, I've already witnessed. Life's turning points are few. Without my foolish sacrifices propping him up, Fu Heching finally gets the life he truly deserves. No longer the golden boy basking in fame and fortune, nor able to splurge fortunes for his childhood sweetheart's smile. At this crossroads, I'm no longer the fool groveling for scraps of his counterfeit affection. My pre-booked driver arrived, giving Fu Henian a puzzled glance before opening the car door for me. Fu Henian flushed crimson as he saw me leaving, stepping forward urgently. Could you give me your contact? No. I ducked into the car, knowing we'd never meet again. Fu Henian pounded on the closed door, shouting something through the glass as the car pulled away, leaving him far behind in moments. Story 2. In the 1970s, I rescued Lu Huiyan from a flood, injuring my leg in the process. Out of gratitude, Lu Huiyan married me despite my limp, which became a celebrated love story at the time, but it wasn't until after Lu's death that his true love showed up with a boy and threw me out. When I finally discovered they'd been legally married all along, there was even a child I never knew about listed in the household registry. The shocking truth hit me so hard that I suffered a sudden heart attack and collapsed unconscious. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself reborn before ever marrying Lu Huiyan. In this life, I'd decided to let go of Lu Huiyan and reclaim the life that's rightfully mine. The suffocating sensation from my past life's heart attack still lingered when I glanced up to see Lu Huiyan in his green military uniform standing by my bed, eyeing me with impatience. Give the library job to Wenhui first. She just lost her husband. It's not easy for a woman to settle down here alone. This scene felt all too familiar. In my past life, he acted just like this, demanding with righteous indignation that I surrender my job to his beloved Bai Yuiguang, Yi Wenhui. This led to a huge fight between us, even disturbing Lu Huiyan's mother. In the end, not only did I fail to reclaim my position, But I also got scolded by Madame Lu. It's just a measly librarian job. Was it worth all this fuss? You've embarrassed our Lu family. Country bumpkin behavior. Petty and utterly classless. 1. In my past life, this job was actually offered to me by the Lu family. Back then, Lu Huiyan was sent to our village as an educated youth during the Cultural Revolution. My father, being the village party secretary, recognized his talents and gave him special care. That summer saw relentless storms, and our riverside village got hit by severe floods. During the evacuation, Lu Huiyan fell into the water. I was the one who pulled him out, injuring my leg in the process. He wanted to marry me out of gratitude, while Mrs. Lu used her connections to secure me this job at the school where she worked. In this new life, I'm done with the job. And I'm done with the man too. Fine, I understand, you may leave now. Lu Huiyan's gaze faltered slightly as he raised a fist to his lips, clearing his throat twice. It's good that you understand. Don't worry, even if you lose your job, you'll always have me. Not like Wenhui, she's got nothing. This job means everything to her. I looked up at him with icy detachment. Are you done? A flicker of displeasure crossed Lu Huiyan's eyes, but I couldn't be bothered to humor him. I stood up and began packing my things, realizing I was ignoring him. He finally shut his mouth and stomped out in a huff. The moment the door clicked shut, I sprang up to rummage through every corner. I finally breathed a heavy sigh of relief when I found the telegram that Lu Huiyan had carelessly tossed in the corner. Noting the date on the telegram and seeing there was still daylight, I limped to the post office to send a reply to my father. Keep the spot for me, coming home soon. This was the telegram where father informed me he'd secured me a spot at the Worker Peasant Soldier University. In my past life, the telegram my father sent me was carelessly tossed in a corner by Lu Huiyan. I was too busy arguing with Lu Huiyan to even notice it. By the time I found it, 3 months had passed. The university admission mentioned in the telegram was long gone. Back then, the job the Lu family promised me went to Yi Wenhui instead. I missed my chance at university. And the marriage plans kept getting dragged out endlessly. They hastily threw a few wedding banquets just before Lu Huiyan was transferred, making it official. After that, Lu Huiyan and I rarely had time together. Yi Wenhui was soon transferred as well. As time passed, Lu Huiyan kept moving farther away, yet Lu Wenhui followed wherever he went. Meanwhile, I remained trapped here, tending to the elderly, dragging my crippled leg. I spun like a top day and night, first caring for my husband's grandmother, then his parents, in ceaseless toil. My only pregnancy ended in miscarriage because of Yi Wenhui. Only after both elders passed was I finally able to join Lu Huiyan in North City. He settled me in the staff dormitory assigned by his workplace, then buried himself in work and rarely came home. With my leg disability and aversion to socializing, I barely left the house except for essential grocery runs. Nobody knew I was Professor Lu's wife. They all assumed I was some distant relative here to help out. No one bothered to inform me when Lu Huiyan passed away from a sudden illness. It wasn't until Yi Wenhui showed up with her son and kicked me out that I discovered Lu Huiyan had been leading a double life. He'd secretly married her long ago. Even her son was legally registered under Lu Huiyan's name. I gave everything for this family, only to end up with nothing. Thank God I never actually married Lu Huiyan, though my leg's crippled now. There's still time to turn things around. It's not too late. I picked up the red brush and added a touch of crimson to the unfinished plum blossom painting on the table. By the time this painting is complete, it'll be time for me to leave. Consider it a gift to myself, the gift of freedom. The next day, I gathered all the wedding preparations, packed them in bags, and traded them for cash and ration coupons on the black market. On my way back, I ran into Lu Huiyan, who was chatting and laughing with Yi Wenhui on their way to work. When Lu Huiyan spotted me, his expression instantly turned awkward and he began fidgeting nervously. Feeling irritated, I pretended not to see them and walked straight past, but Yi Wenhui wouldn't let it slide, sister yawning. Don't misunderstand, we just happened to meet brother Lu on the way since we're heading the same direction. Yawning, it's really not what you think, Lu Huiyan hastily explained when he saw me ignoring them. It's fine, carry on, I replied indifferently. Sis yawning, I know you've got the wrong idea about me because of work, but I genuinely need this job. Could you please let it go? Brother Lu only helped me out of pity. Don't misunderstand him, I don't want you two arguing because of me. Yi Wenhui blocked my way, insisting on arguing with me. I gave her a forced smile and a sidelong glance. She wore her hair in 2 braids, dressed in a crisp polyester dress with shiny black leather shoes, looking every bit the pampered city girl. Meanwhile, I stood there in patched clothes, my sun-baked face the color of wheat, covered in enough dust to sweep off by the pound, not to mention my lame leg, in my past life. Seeing her like this would have crushed my confidence. I wouldn't have dared speak to her, but now, I won't give her an inch. Oh really, let's put it to a vote. Who here thinks they need this job more, me or you? Word is you just lost your man, so why are you dolled up like a peacock and clinging to him? Explain that. My words hit home. Yi Wenhui's face fell as she turned teary-eyed to Lu Huaiyan. Big brother Lu, are you seeing this? Lu Huaiyan's face flushed crimson as he barked at me. Xiao Yaning, how dare you speak to Wenhui like that? Apologize to her this instant. Apologize? What exactly should I be apologizing for? And who's going to apologize for those decades I wasted in my past life? I had no desire to engage with them, so I turned and walked away, leaving Lu Huaiyan and his companion fuming and shouting behind me. Country bumpkins, no manners. School was about to start, and though the money and coupons I just exchanged weren't much, they'd still cover my tuition. I returned home in high spirits and added a few more crimson strokes to my unfinished plum blossom painting. Soon, I'll be able to leave this place behind and start my new life. Lu Huaiyan finally came home that evening. He hadn't been home for days, and the moment he returned, he started bossing me around. Cook some dishes tomorrow and invite Wenhui over for dinner. You might as well apologize to her while you're at it. Lu Huaiyan instructed, then give me the grocery money. Lu Huaiyan froze momentarily before frowning. You haven't given me living expenses this month. I've spent all the money I brought from home. Do you expect me to cook thin air for her? Lu Huaiyan looked somewhat embarrassed as he turned and pulled out several 10 yuan bills from his pocket, placing them on the table. Without ceremony, I pocketed the money. Get some meat dishes. Wenhui's too thin. She needs proper nourishment. The next day at noon, Lu Huaiyan brought Yi Wenhui over for lunch. I cooked a whole table of fish dishes. Fish head tofu soup, pickled fish slices, cold-dressed fish skin, practically reeking of fish. Judging by the child's birth date on Lu Huaiyan's household register in my past life, Yi Wenhui should already be pregnant by now. The question is whether the child is Lu Huaiyan's or someone else's. My bet is it's not his. He seems completely clueless about it. Yawning, your cooking looks absolutely delicious. Before I could even take my seat, Yi Wenhui casually settled beside Lu Huaiyan and started eating without ceremony. Meanwhile, I was still toiling in the kitchen, looking more like their housekeeper, but after just a few bites, we heard Yi Wenhui abruptly stand up. She rushed to the bathroom, followed by the sound of retching. Lu Huaiyan stood anxiously outside the door, persistently asking Yi Wenhui what was wrong. Pale-faced, Yi Wenhui pushed the door open with teary eyes and said plaintively, "This fish is way too fishy. I can't eat it, brother Lu. Since Sister Yaning doesn't want me here, I just won't come anymore." For the first time ever, Lu Huaiyan didn't immediately side with Yi Wenhui. He scratched his head, looking puzzled. Tastes fine to me. Doesn't seem fishy at all. Yi Wenhui froze momentarily before forcing an awkward smile. Really, but this time, I cut Yi Wenhui off mid-sentence. You're not pregnant, are you? Yi Wenhui's face paled instantly while Lu Huaiyan frowned. What nonsense are you spouting? Wenhui's husband passed away 6 months ago. How could she possibly be pregnant? Don't pick up those gossip mongers' habits, spreading rumors all day long. In my past life, I was like a mute gourd. When they humiliated me, I couldn't even muster a retort. But now that I'm reborn, why should I endure it again? Was I wrong? The fish was perfectly cooked, everyone else ate it just fine, so why is she the only one having issues? Honestly, her symptoms are identical to Aunt San's pregnancy back in our village. If you think I'm overreacting, why not just get her checked? Or is it that you've been spending every waking moment with her? Have you two been carrying on behind my back? Is that child yours? My words struck a nerve. Lu Huaiyan's face flushed crimson as if set ablaze. Shut your damn mouth. Yi Wenhui turned deathly pale at those words, pointing at me with a mix of shame and fury. She stammered, "You." Before she could finish, her eyes rolled back as she fainted into Lu Huaiyan's arms. Lu Huaiyan immediately abandoned our argument and rushed Yi Wenhui to the hospital, leaving the house in rare tranquility. I picked up my chopsticks and feasted heartily on the lavish spread before me, thoroughly enjoying every bite. Lu Huaiyan didn't return that evening, likely keeping Yi Wenhui company at the hospital. I'd packed all my belongings into just a small bundle. Everything the Lu family had given me remained untouched, neatly arranged in the room. Now, all I needed was a reason to go home. The next day, Lu Huayan's mother returned. When swamped with work, she'd usually make do with the school-provided dormitory. The faculty housing compound where I lived was originally allocated to her by the university. Since Lu Huaizhou and I were about to marry, she let us have it as our marital home. With the recent reinstatement of college entrance exams and the university's hectic schedule, her visits home became increasingly rare. In my past life, though Mrs. Lu and I never got along. She never actually wronged me. What's more, Mrs. Lu never liked Yi Wenhui, so even her sour expression started looking somewhat pleasing to me. Perfect, using her to annoy Lu Huayan would be quite satisfying. I quickly boiled water and served tea. Seeing my eagerness, her stern expression softened noticeably. Before we could exchange more than a few pleasantries, Lu Huayan returned supporting the pale-faced Yi Wenhui. Lu Huayan called for me the moment he stepped through the courtyard gate, yawning. Quickly prepare a room for Wenhui, she's fallen ill with no one to care for her, she'll stay with us for a few days. Madame Lu's expression darkened instantly as she snapped sharply, Lu Huayan, get in here this instant. Lu Huayan finally noticed Madame Lu's arrival and hastily ushered Yi Wenhui inside. That nonsense you were shouting about pregnancy in the courtyard yesterday, gossip travels fast, and it's already reached my ears today. Set a wedding date with yawning immediately. Unless you want the whole neighborhood gossiping about this scandal. Though Madame Lu scolded him relentlessly, Lu Huayan clearly remained defiant. There's absolutely nothing between Wenhui and me. It's not what you're thinking, blamed Qiu yawning and her loose lips. Wenhui and I have done nothing wrong, yet she's spreading baseless rumors. Then why did you bring this woman home? Mother Lu looked at Lu Huayan with exasperation. When Huey's in poor health with no one to care for her. I had no choice but to bring her back. Absolutely not. This woman cannot move in under any circumstances, Mrs. Lu declared firmly. At this, Yi Wenhui lowered her head and began sobbing quietly. Her pitiful demeanor instantly tugged at Lu Huayan's heartstrings. If you won't let Wenhui stay here, then I'll take her somewhere else. I won't abandon her, Lu Huayan snapped, storming out while dragging Wenhui along. Mrs. Lu was so infuriated by Huayan that she clutched her chest. Gasping for breath before collapsing into the chair, I rushed over to pat her back and help her catch her breath. It took quite a while before she recovered, yawning. Huayan was out of line. Please don't take it to heart. We should set the wedding date soon. How about I pick a day and we just make it official? A flicker of hesitation crossed my eyes before I lowered my head and murmured, marriage is a lifelong commitment. I should discuss this with my father first. Quite right. Such matters do require the in-laws' approval. Very well. Return home promptly to choose an auspicious date. We'll hold the wedding soon, Madame Lu instructed. I nodded in agreement. Before I left, Mrs. Lu gave me 200 yuan to buy something for my father as a token of their regards. I pocketed the money. In my past life, I never received such kindness. My explosive argument with Lu Huayan over work issues turned the whole compound into spectators, earning me Mrs. Lu's deep disapproval. That's why she turned a blind eye when Lu Huayan grew close to Yi Wenhui later, and their wedding was just a slapdash affair. I was just worrying about finding an excuse to go home, and now I have a perfectly legitimate reason to return. I glanced at the red plum blossoms on the wall. The few remaining ones had all been painted over. This means I can head back early now. I immediately booked the fastest ticket home and left behind a letter calling off the engagement. Then, without a trace of hesitation, I embarked on a new journey. As the train began moving, I could have sworn I saw Lu Huaizhou's face. He was desperately running forward, waving his arms as if shouting something to me. Must have been seeing things. At this moment, Lu Huaizhou would be too busy comforting Yi Wenhui to possibly be here. Even if he did somehow appear here by chance, there's no way he could catch up to me now. After a full day and night on the train, I finally made it back to the village. Right as I entered the village, I ran into Cui Ziyuan. I just came from your place. Your old man said you'd be returning any day now. Perfect timing. I'm here to help you with your school enrollment paperwork. I'm also delighted to meet Cui Ziyuan. He's a journalist who happened to witness me rescuing Lu Huaizhou and wrote a news report about it. That very article got me selected as the county's outstanding youth, which then helped my father successfully secure a worker-peasant-soldier university admission spot for me. In my past life, I never returned and wasted that opportunity. This time around, I won't let it slip through my fingers again. When I got home, my father's weather-beaten face lit up with a crinkled smile the moment he saw me. Sweetheart, have you made up your mind? If you go to college, it'll be years before you're back. By the time you return, that young Lu fellow might not wait around for you. I chuckled and told my old man, "Dad, I'm not marrying him. These days, nobody repays a life debt with marriage anymore. But with your leg like this, it'll be hard to find a husband later," Father said worriedly. "Dad, this is a new society where women hold up half the sky, even with my lame leg. I can still contribute to our country, with knowledge and skills. I can support myself anywhere. I don't need a husband to survive." Choi Zi-yuan, who'd returned with me, gave me a thumbs up. Yawning truly is a fine young socialist. She showed heroic self-sacrifice in danger, faces disability and prejudice with unshakable resolve, and pursues independence with iron will, a real heroine among women. Seeing that I wasn't bothered by these matters, my father finally stopped worrying. After that, I stayed home for 10 days while Choi Zi-yuan busied himself getting all my paperwork sorted. The time had come for me to leave. On the morning of my departure, my father stood at the village entrance so long that his figure eventually disappeared from view, wiping away tear stains. I steeled my heart against the ache of parting. The rumbling bus carried me forward through golden sunlight, racing toward my own bright future. To reach my university, I first needed to catch a train from the provincial capital. My father insisted on sending me, and coincidentally, Choi Zi-yuan had business there too, so we traveled together. Upon arrival, I entrusted my luggage to him and hurried to the train station to queue for tickets. Ticket in hand, I suddenly remembered, some of my belongings were still with Lu Huiyan. I may not want to see him, but I'll be damned if I let him have my things for free. Besides, he's probably busy with Yi Wenhui right now. Doubt he'd spare a thought for my affairs. Back at the Lu residence, I unlocked the door to pitch-black darkness. Flipping the lights on revealed a living room in complete disarray. Lu Huiyan's hopeless at housework. My absence these past few days clearly left him struggling. After searching around, I found my small bundle tossed in the corner of the living room, its contents strewn about in complete disarray. I couldn't tell if anything was missing from it. Just as I was about to check my old room, Lu Huiyan returned with Yi Wenhui. "What brings you back?" Lu Huiyan asked. Visibly surprised to see me, Yi Wenhui maintained her composure, giving me a slight nod before turning to enter my room. Frowning, I turned to Lu Huiyan and asked, "What's the meaning of this?" Lu Huiyan paused before explaining. "Wenhui caught a cold recently with no one to look after her, so she'll be staying here for a couple days. Since you were away, I had her use your room temporarily." "Let's not talk about that now. I want to know why you left without telling me. If I hadn't seen you at the train station that day, I wouldn't have even known you were gone. Next time you go somewhere, could you at least give me a heads up?" So it wasn't my imagination. I really did see him at the train station that day. How pathetic. In this life and the last, he's never genuinely cared about where I go. Why the sudden act of affection now? That's just disgusting. You brought Yi Wenhui to stay over without even giving me a heads up. Cut the crap. I'm asking why you threw my stuff out and went through it without my permission. Lu Huiyan, don't you know that taking without asking is stealing? What you're doing is outright theft. I felt my anger boiling over. Lu Huiyan froze momentarily before finally pursing his lips to argue. "Stealing? That's such an ugly way to put it. We're getting married soon. What's yours is mine, isn't it?" Just as I was about to give Lu Huiyan a piece of my mind, Yi Wenhui suddenly emerged from the room. "Who's been messing with my stuff? The $200 I kept under my pillow is gone." She turned to me. "Did you take it?" Yawning, "I know you've got issues with me, but stealing my money, that was my hard-earned savings. Life's tough for a woman on her own. Please, just give me back my money." How ridiculous. I hadn't even accused her of stealing, yet she turns around and blames me instead. I saw red instantly. "Stop your nonsense. I never set foot in that room. Don't you dare pin this on me. You accuse me of taking your money. Well, I say you rummaged through my bag. My money's missing too." With tears in her eyes, Yi Wenhui looked at Lu Huiyan pleadingly. "Brother Lu, please ask Sister Yawning to return my money. Times are hard for me. Those 200 yuan are for my medical treatment." Lu Huiyan frowned deeply, seemingly lost in thought, before finally giving me an uneasy look. "Yawning, give Wenhui her money back. If you're short on cash, I'll help you out. Just don't take hers." I wanted to argue further, but Lu Huiyan clearly believed Wenhui and insisted I return the money. "Fine, let's search you and see if you've got any money on you." Seeing me momentarily speechless, Yi Wenhui grew smug and immediately pushed her advantage, with the two of them ganging up on me. I couldn't defend myself even if I wanted to, especially since I actually did have $200 in my pocket. Even if it wasn't Yi Wenhui's missing money, there was no way to prove it. Of course, I couldn't just let them frame me like this, since nobody trusts anybody here, let's take this to the police station and sort it out. Left with no choice, I could only think of turning to the officers for help. Outwardly I appeared calm, but inwardly I was consumed with regret. I never should have come back just to save a few bucks on lodging, stirring up unnecessary trouble. My anger was trivial compared to how this delay might jeopardize my registration. At the mention of going to the police station, Lu Huiyan quickly tried to smooth things over. Wenhui, here's 200 yuan, consider it compensation from me on Yanning's behalf. Please let this incident slide. Yanning, apologize to Wenhui right now, and we'll consider this matter closed. What nonsense are you talking? So they're just pinning the blame squarely on me. I was boiling with anger and panic. Yi Wenhui caught me off guard and went straight for my pocket, where I happened to have 200 yuan wrapped in a handkerchief, and yanked it right out. Now she was even more smug. The money's right here. How are you going to deny it? Weren't we going to the police station? Let's go right now. Yi Wenhui yanked me by the arm and dragged me into the courtyard. I struggled to break free from her grip, but to my surprise, she was much stronger than I expected. As neighbors began gathering along the walls, I knew Yi Wenhui wouldn't rest until she'd seen me locked up this time. This is my own money, not yours, I protested loudly, but it fell on deaf ears. After some back and forth, Lu Huiyan, Yi Wenhui and I eventually found ourselves sitting in the police station. The officer on duty clearly recognized Lu Huiyan. Professor Lu, what brings you here? This must be your wife. No need to worry, it's just a minor domestic dispute. We've finished mediation, you'll be free to go shortly. The staff member spoke while stealing glances at both Yi Wenhui and me. Everyone knew Lu Huiyan had a lame fiancé, though Yi Wenhui was prettier and seemed better suited for him. My limping gait made me far more recognizable. Lu Huiyan frowned deeply and shook his head. I still expect you to judge this case fairly. Stealing is no trivial matter. If she's truly at fault, punish her accordingly. Don't show leniency just because of me. Lu Huiyan, I never imagined he could be this stupid and cruel. Didn't he realize he was utterly ruining me? Lu Huiyan's gaze met mine, a flicker of hesitation crossing his features before his lips curled into a chilling smirk. Qiao Yanning, I gave you a chance, but you threw it away, forcing this confrontation upon us. You've humiliated the Lu family beyond measure. This time, you will learn your lesson. Comrades, detain her as protocol demands. Let this be a lesson she won't forget. My heart sank. My train ticket was for tomorrow night, and I absolutely couldn't afford to be locked up here. Lu Huiyan, where's your proof that I stole money? This is a police station, not some place where you can make baseless accusations. Seeing my panic, Lu Huiyan said dismissively, scared now? Weren't you so cocky back at home? Maybe a few days in here will help you reflect. We'll see if you've learned your lesson by the time you're out. Yi Wenhui shot me a smug look, linked arms with Lu Huiyan, and turned to leave. They hadn't gone far before being stopped by the staff. Professor Lu, we'll need solid evidence before we can charge anyone. All of you need to be questioned. No one leaves until we have answers. Lu Huiyan and Yi Wenhui paled but had no choice. They sat down to await the staff's decision. I turned to Yi Wenhui in front of the staff and challenged loudly, if you claim this 200 yuan is yours, then tell me how many Great Unity bills and how many steelmaking bills are in here. Yi Wenhui's face froze as she rolled her eyes at me. I can't remember, she retorted. I explained to the staff, this 200 yuan belongs to me. 15 Great Unity bills, 6 steelmaking bills, 15 tractor bills, and 10 half-yuan notes, and every single bill in this stack is facing right side up. Not a single one is placed backward. The staff unfolded the handkerchief wrapped around the money, revealing a neatly rolled bundle of cash. After inspecting it, they nodded and turned to question Yi Wenhui. You're accusing her of stealing this money. What proof do you have? While I was out, she sneaked into my room and rummaged through my things. When I got back, the 200 yuan I'd stashed under my pillow was gone. With no outsiders around, she's obviously the thief. I couldn't help firing back. Then explain this. How did your money end up under the pillow in my room? What do you mean yours? That's mine. Lu Huiyan snapped to attention and warned sharply, Qiao Yanning, watch your words. The staff member looked utterly bewildered, their eyes darting between us like searchlights. Comrade Yi Wenhui, are you claiming you lost the money at Teacher Lu's place? That makes no sense. Yi Wenhui's face darkened at this moment. Lowering her head in silence again, Lu Huiyan clearly wanted to end the argument. Comrade, stealing itself has nothing to do with where the money was lost. I quickly continued my defense. Comrade, this money was collected by my father going door to door. Every bill has the character Ning written in pencil. as an exemplary youth who's been featured in newspapers. How could I possibly commit something as despicable as theft? With that, I took out the newspaper that had reported Lu Huayan's rescue and handed it to the staff member. The staff member examined the money again, glanced at the newspaper I'd handed over, then looked at Lu Huayan with noticeably colder tone. Professor Lu, Comrade Qiu Yanning's evidence checks out. Unless you can provide new proof that this money belongs to Comrade Yi, it rightfully belongs to Comrade Qiu. Finally, the suspicion against me was cleared. Lu Huayan and Yi Wenhui had lost their earlier bravado at the police station. After a brief silence, Lu said to me, "Yanning, this isn't such a big deal. I'll have Wenhui apologize to you. Just sign the mediation agreement, and we can put this behind us." Oh, wonderful. First they tried to frame me for theft and send me to jail, and now that I'm cleared, they expect me to just let it slide. Since when does that make any sense? Ignoring Lu Huayan, I turned to the officer and asked, "How many days detention do they get for false accusations and defamation? Follow procedure properly, however many days it should be. Don't go easy on them just because you know them." With the mediation efforts of the police station staff, this farce concluded with Yi Wenhui issuing me a public apology and compensating me 500 yuan for emotional distress. Lu Huayan covered the payment for Yi Wenhui. He happened to have just withdrawn his salary and handed me the money on the spot, witnessed by the staff. Seizing the moment while everyone was present, I took out those 200 yuan and returned them to Lu Huayan, saying, "This was given to me by your mother, now I'm returning it to its rightful owner. All the items your Lu family bought for me remain untouched at home. As for what's missing, ask Yi Wenhui, she's made a habit of helping herself without asking." See, I pointed at the bracelet on Yi Wenhui's wrist. Lu Huayan's face darkened with anger. "Qiu Yanning, must you be so unreasonable? Wenhui looks lovely wearing it. Just let her keep it for a couple of days. I gave my permission. Must you be so petty?" I stared wordlessly at the undisguised contempt on Lu Huayan's face, overwhelmed by a sudden sense of worthlessness. What a fool I'd been in my past life, blinded by infatuation, mistaking this man for some refined gentleman. Like a lovesick idiot, I'd thrown away my entire life on him. At least I'll have nothing more to do with the Lu family from now on. Everything from that household, their possessions, their money, disgusts me to the core. Right now, I just want to cut ties with them as soon as possible. Stepping out of the police station, daylight had fully broken. I'd taken all my belongings with me last night. There's nothing left here worth clinging to. Lu Huayan and I walked in opposite directions when he suddenly called out, "Aren't you going home? Where are you headed?" "You're right, I should be more generous. I'll get out of your way so you don't have to look at me anymore," I said to Lu Huayan with a smile. Lu Huayan turned pale with anger. "Must you always have the last word? Fine. Go reflect on your behavior before coming back." Lu Huayan stormed off in a huff with Yi Wenhui. I couldn't care less about his affairs. The next day, I met with Cui Ziyuan to retrieve my luggage, and he kindly saw me off at the station. Before leaving, I mailed a letter to Lu Huayan's mother explaining everything in detail, stating that our engagement was called off so we could both move on freely and happily. As for Lu Huayan, I trust his mother will make things clear to him. After 2 days on the rickety train, I finally arrived at my university. Only after completing the enrollment procedures did I finally feel at ease. Campus life brings me immense joy as I immerse myself in this ocean of knowledge. Things I could never access in my past life now lie before my eyes, and I treasure this hard-won opportunity all the more. Having journeyed thousands of miles from the north, I arrived at this southern school during autumn enrollment. Everyone jokingly called me a seasonal autumn goose, migrating south with the birds as nature intended. Following my teacher's recommendation, I visited a major hospital for my leg. Specialists diagnosed ligament damage but said surgery could help. While it won't fully recover, the operation should significantly improve my condition. Life was going smoothly until Lu Huayan unexpectedly tracked me down. He showed up near the semester's end. Right after my hospital discharge, my injured leg was still healing, yet somehow looked worse than before. With a frosty expression, Lu Huayan intercepted me on my way to the cafeteria. "Qiu Yanning, are you done with this tantrum? Do you have any idea how hard it was to find you all the way out here?" Lu Huayan dismissed my decision to attend university as a childish tantrum. "You ran away without even discussing our marriage arrangement." I took a deep breath, struggling to maintain my composure. "I wrote to your mother before coming here, explaining everything about our situation and the broken engagement." Lu Huayan glared at me impatiently. "What do you mean clear things up? Don't you realize how much this affects me? Pack your things now and come home to marry me." these worker peasant soldier universities are useless, you won't learn anything worthwhile there. Once we're married, I'll provide for you. There's no need to work so hard, just take care of household matters. Look at your leg, it's getting worse, isn't it? You'd be better off resting at home. Besides, with that limp of yours, who else would even want to marry you? It suddenly dawned on me that in my past life, that telegram notifying me of school admission was deliberately hidden in the corner by Lu Huiyan. He never wanted me to attend that university. His deeply ingrained male chauvinism couldn't tolerate a woman surpassing him, bound by outdated notions of men ruling outside while women govern the home. He fundamentally looked down upon women. Lu Huiyan, I truly regret saving you. How much suffering did I endure for his sake back then? All these years, people have pitted him for ending up with a lame country girl like me. Such a brilliant young man deserves better. They say, he didn't have to marry me. Nobody forced his hand, but I saved his life when we were trapped together for 2 days and a night. Then those journalists came, took our picture, splashed it across the papers. Suddenly the whole world knew about my heroic rescue. And with my father being the village party secretary, he saw our engagement as his ticket back to the city. That's all it ever was. In my past life, I never considered these things. I was simply smitten by his strikingly handsome face, overjoyed. I followed him back to the city and devoted my entire life to him, only to be deceived for decades. But now everything's different. I've finally made it to university through my own efforts, embracing a brand new life. How could I possibly return to that suffocating place? With this conviction, I declared firmly to Lu Huiyan, as the new generation, we all bear the responsibility to acquire knowledge, shine with our talents, and contribute our share to building socialism. Every single person, regardless of gender or age. Frankly, what you just said is utterly unworthy of an intellectual in this new era. The onlooking students cheered and applauded while Lu Huiyan turned ashen, forced to flee in disgrace amid the crowd's jeers. From that day onward, Lu Huiyan never showed his face again. At first we exchanged a few letters, then eventually even those stopped coming. Naturally, I stopped worrying about him and simply focused on enjoying my college life to the fullest. Years later, dressed in a tailored suit, I walked confidently onto the awards podium. No one could tell I'd once been a cripple. As I received the Outstanding Social Contribution Award trophy from the presenter, thunderous applause erupted from the audience. I realized I've truly become my authentic self in this lifetime. I've lived a life without regrets. After the awards ceremony, Cui Ziyuan and I reminisced about our hometown memories. In the end, Lu Huiyan married Yi Wenhui after all. When Yi Wenhui's pregnancy came to light, it severely damaged Lu Huiyan's reputation. People called him ungrateful and promiscuous, which is why he desperately sought me out, hoping marriage would silence the gossip. But things didn't go as planned. He applied for a transfer, but someone posted a damning public notice about him on the company bulletin board, effectively sabotaging his relocation plans. The child wasn't Lu Huiyan's. It belonged to Yi Wenhui's other lover. She'd only dated Lu in the first place because she saw him as an easy mark. When Lu Huiyan found out, he had a massive falling out with Yi Wenhui. But Ye's family stormed into Lu's workplace, adamantly insisting the child was his. Under mounting pressure, Lu was forced to marry her. Yi Wenhui was never the domestic type to begin with. After marriage, their household descended into utter chaos, and Lu Huiyan himself became slovenly and depressed. Lu's mother had poor health while still caring for her own mother-in-law. No sooner had they laid the elderly woman to rest than Lu's mother became bedridden. Needless to say, Yi Wenhui provided wretched care. Rumor has it the old woman died covered in her own filth, a sight too appalling to behold. When I heard this, I simply laughed it off. None of this concerns me anymore. I dragged Cui Ziyuan along to the victory party for some serious drinking. On the way to the hotel, I thought I heard someone call out, yawning, I regret it, but I paid no attention. Some people are better left unseen. Let those memories drift away with the wind. No more meetings in this life. Southbound geese need not ask of returns. The end. Story 2. Someone tampered with my drinking water the day before the joint college entrance exam. My best friend surpassed me and secured the only guaranteed admission spot. My childhood sweetheart comforted me. Don't worry. You'll have another shot at the national college entrance exam. But I was kidnapped on the day of the college entrance exam, and my childhood sweetheart missed his chance to take it while rescuing me. Out of gratitude, I married my childhood sweetheart. Years later, my glamorous best friend who graduated from a prestigious university came to attend my wedding. Then I accidentally overheard a conversation between my husband and her. Ran. It's all thanks to you making her miss both exams, otherwise I'd never have been able to marry her, Sue Ran smirked coldly. What did she expect, being that old hag's daughter? If I don't grind her into the dirt, how could my mother ever outshine that woman? Blinded by rage, I rammed my car into them all, leaving them permanently disabled, and earning myself a death sentence. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself reborn back in senior year of high school. Nan, let me fill your water bottle for you. You can squeeze in 2 more practice problems during this break. Sue Ran stood before me, speaking in a timid voice. Without waiting for my response, she took the empty cup from my desk. My childhood friend He Jing walked over from the back row and sat down beside me. Nan, Ran treats you so well, even though she's perpetually second place, she still gives up her break time to help you practice problems. The way she said it made it sound like I was taking advantage of Sue Ran. The surrounding classmates glanced over with mixed expressions. Someone whispered, "Is Shin Nan bullying the school belle? Weren't they childhood friends? Why does the school belle seem so submissive around her? Growing up together just makes you more vulnerable to emotional manipulation." He Jing listened with an amused glint in his eyes, but feigned anger as he barked at them. "Shut up, all of you. Nan isn't that kind of person." When silence fell, He Jing gazed at me with undisguised tenderness. Nan, no matter how many people misunderstand you, I'll always have your back, psycho." I ignored He Jing without even batting an eye. This was the exact day in my past life. I drank the water Sue Ran gave me, got severe diarrhea until dehydration knocked me out cold, and completely missed the joint college entrance exam. With me out of the picture as competition, Sue Ran finally broke her runner-up curse and clinched first place. My homeroom teacher told me with genuine regret, "I know your capabilities, but school policies are non-negotiable. Since you missed the exam, the recommendation spot automatically goes to Sue Ran." Including, my homeroom teacher knew my background and how much this top score reward meant to me. Her voice trembled with reluctant sympathy. "Even the privilege of 4-year tuition-free university education must be granted to Sue Ran. I'm an orphan, abandoned since childhood. It was Grandma He Jing who took me in. The He family wasn't well off. Grandma He brought me home to raise me as He Jing's child bride. That way He Jing won't need to spend a dime when he gets married." I did everything for the He family: laundry, cooking, feeding chickens, raising pigs, yet I never had enough to eat or wear. Thankfully, the 9-year compulsory education became universal. The village party secretary came to the He household with the police, and that's how I finally got to attend school. Junior and senior high school were tuition-free. I just needed to take odd jobs in my spare time to cover living expenses. But university tuition was another story, prohibitively expensive. I've studied relentlessly these 3 years for this very moment, the full 4-year tuition waiver that comes with acing these joint entrance exams. The He family wouldn't pay for my college, nor would they allow me to attend university. They feared that if I went to college and broadened my horizons, I'd refuse to marry He Jing, so they tried every means to keep me trapped in this backward, impoverished mountain region. In my past life, after failing the entrance exam, I returned to school to retrieve a cup for hospital testing, but the cup was nowhere to be found. I went to check the classroom surveillance footage with my homeroom teacher, only to be told the cameras had been broken for over a week. The last recorded image showed He Jing dribbling a basketball in class. The ball bounced up and smashed the camera. I wasn't entirely free of suspicion toward He Jing regarding these coincidences. It wasn't until he abandoned his college entrance exams to search for me that my doubts were dispelled. Yet who could have imagined this was all his carefully orchestrated act, just to bind me in lifelong guilt toward him. He knew he'd never pass the university exams, and he couldn't focus on studying anyway. He was afraid I'd climb the social ladder by attending a prestigious university, so he conspired with Sue Ran to sabotage my future. Sue Ran placed the filled water glass on my desk. She gave me a timid smile, her eyes brimming with cautious ingratiation. "Nan, I mixed half hot and half cold water for you. It's just the right temperature now. You can drink it." My eyes stayed fixed on the test questions as I gave a noncommittal couldn't be bothered to look at her. She bit her lip, her eyes instantly welling up with tears. Nan, did I do something wrong? You're being so distant." Saran was well liked in class, and with her striking looks, many rushed to defend her. "Class rep, who do you think you are? The campus belle doesn't owe you anything. She even fetched water for you, and this is how you treat her? Can't even say thank you." I didn't even look up. "Thanks." My accuser froze mid-sentence, and Sue Ran was stunned too. The school bell rang. Sue Ran reluctantly returned to her seat. I glanced at my cup, then at the identical one on Su-ran's desk. Su-ran and He-jing were from the same village, though her family was slightly better off. Most of my belongings were hand-me-downs from Su-ran after she'd used them. I'm always grateful for this, though she loves teasingly announcing it in front of crowds. That dress Nan's wearing, I gave it to her. Way too baggy on me but fits her perfectly. She's always making remarks like that. In elementary school, my classmates mocked me for being like a beggar, treasuring whatever Su-ran discarded. Later in middle and high school, she'd always buy 2 of everything just to give me 1. If I refused, she'd give it to Granny He instead. Just when I thought I'd shaken off the beggar label, I got branded as a copycat instead. Every penny I earn from odd jobs goes back to Su-ran. I refuse to owe her anything. I've always believed nobody's perfect. We all have our flaws and shortcomings. Judge actions, not intentions. No one's record is spotless when scrutinized. Whatever her motives were, at least she provided me clothes to wear and a cup to use. Only on my deathbed did I learn the truth. I was actually her half-sister. Her malice toward me wasn't just in my head after all. Through the small mirror, I saw Su-ran's venomous gaze fixed on my cup. I deliberately unscrewed the lid. Watching her pupils dilate slightly and her lips twitch with anticipation, the next instant, I tightened the cap again. Her pupils contracted sharply as she clenched her jaw, fingernails digging into her palms. For the entire class, I kept relentlessly fraying her nerves like this. Her once clear eyes had become bloodshot by the end of the lesson. Her body trembled uncontrollably. I found it almost amusing. With such weak nerves, she still dared to misbehave. When the school bell rang, Su-ran suddenly sprang to her feet. I instantly grabbed my cup, throat bobbing as I took a few performative sips of water. Only then did she settle back into her seat with a relieved sigh. I screwed the cap back on and slumped over the desk, feigning exhaustion. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her pulling He-jing outside, seizing their absence. I poured the water from my cup into an empty mineral water bottle and concealed it in my backpack. The emptied cup was placed back on the table. When Su-ran returned, she deliberately walked past me and picked up my cup. The lighter weight made her irrepressibly happy. Nan, let me refill your water for you. With that, she grabbed my cup and ran out with a smile. During the next class, I pretended to clutch my stomach in pain while shedding tears. In the mirror, Su-ran couldn't help but curve her lips into a smile, locking eyes with He-jing in the back row. Seizing the moment, I clutched my stomach and stood up to ask the English teacher for leave. Teacher, I suddenly got this terrible stomachache. The English teacher was my favorite instructor, who also happened to be my homeroom teacher. In my past life, he pulled every string he could to help me. Even when I missed my college entrance exams, he went to Grandma He's house, offering to pay for my repeat year, only to get beaten over the head with a broom and thrown out. To make matters worse, Grandma He stormed into the school and made a huge scene, publicly accusing my homeroom teacher of having improper intentions toward me. This led to the teacher being suspended and facing complaints and verbal abuse from parents. Yet even then, when He-jing took me south for migrant work, that teacher still sent me encouraging messages. Nan, you may have missed the college entrance exam, but you haven't missed out on your entire future. You can always return to school through self-study programs for adult education, or explore other paths. Life is long, never give up on yourself. Now, my homeroom teacher saw me in this disheveled state, drenched in sweat with unstoppable tears. They immediately contacted the school nurse to take me to the infirmary. Having endured the agony of dehydration in my past life, playing the part comes effortlessly this time around. When Su-ran and He-jing came to check on me, they finally felt reassured enough to return to class after seeing me pale-faced and constantly running to the restroom. During the last evening self-study session, I asked my homeroom teacher for leave to be hospitalized at an outside clinic. The homeroom teacher lamented in the classroom. How could this happen? Nan actually got hospitalized at such a critical time. The joint exams are tomorrow. No way. I've got to go check on her. After the homeroom teacher left, Su-ran and He-jing were overjoyed. Su-ran even started humming a tune on her way back. I skipped morning self-study the next day. Su-ran noticed my empty seat and felt a weight lift from her chest. We were assigned to different schools for the exams. My homeroom teacher, concerned about my illness, personally escorted me to the exam venue. I didn't return to school until after the exam was over. Su-ran spotted me and hurried over with a sad expression. Nan, what a shame, how could you miss the exam? I just smiled. Don't worry, there's still the college entrance exam. She let out a smug humph, deliberately drawing it out. This joint exam could get you direct admission. with full tuition waiver too. The class bell rang as she returned to her seat, finding a note tucked under her water bottle. I woke up early that morning and forged He Jing's handwriting to write "Enjoy your drink," ran on the note. I poured all the mineral water I'd secretly substituted that day into Sue Ran's cup. She took a sip from the cup, her lips curling into a blissful smile. When He Jing walked past Sue Ran carrying a basketball, she blushed and gave him a coy wink. He Jing scratched his head in confusion, then responded with a smile. Sue Ran became even more certain the note came from He Jing. Sue Ran finished the entire glass of water before the class ended. When class dismissed, she'd barely stood up to find He Jing when she suddenly clutched her stomach, collapsing to the floor in convulsions. Clutching her stomach, she scrambled up from the floor and bolted to the restroom. She never returned for 2 full class periods. The homeroom teacher sent someone to look for her. They finally found her in the hallway outside the restroom. She was unconscious from dehydration, just like I was in my past life. He Jing frowned as Sue Ran was carried out. He came up to me and asked, Nan, why does Sue Ran's condition look so similar to yours back then, only much worse?" He wasn't whispering. And half the class heard him. "Yeah, class president, did you give the school bell your cold? Don't get us sick too. The college entrance exams are coming up. We can't afford to follow now. Shen Nan, if you're sick just drop out already. Stop holding everyone back. We all know you're some penniless orphan, who knows what kind of disease you can't afford to treat. The campus beauty probably got infected from being around you." Accusations and insults flew thick and fast. I looked at He Jing, but there wasn't a trace of concern for me in his eyes. His mood visibly improved as the voices humiliating me grew louder. He Jing always claims to love me, saying I'm the most important person in his life, yet his so-called love constantly puts me in humiliating situations. When the homeroom teacher walked in at that moment, the students immediately exclaimed, "Teacher, Sue Ran's condition is exactly like Shen Nan's was back then. She must have caught it from Shen Nan. We're about to take the college entrance exams. What if she infects all of us? Make her take a leave of absence, or we'll file a collective complaint with the Education Bureau." He Jing took perverse pleasure in putting me in situations where everyone would despise me. Every time this happened, he'd swoop in like some knight in shining armor, standing between me and the world, ready to fight my battles. Yet all these storms were clearly brought by him. I watched his performance with cold detachment. True enough, the next second he stepped in front of me, turning his back toward me. "What nonsense are you spouting? Nan isn't an orphan. She's been adopted by my family. I won't tolerate your baseless accusations. Nan isn't sick at all. Last time she just had food poisoning. And now Sue Ran clearly has the same symptoms, classic foodborne illness." He Jing turned back and gazed at me tenderly. Nan, with me here, no one will ever bully you." The students were still murmuring when the homeroom teacher slammed her book on the desk. "Do you have proof? Any evidence that Shen Nan infected Sue Ran? How dare you spread baseless rumors? All those years of education wasted on you." The classroom instantly fell dead silent. Someone couldn't help but whisper, "But their symptoms are clearly identical." The homeroom teacher raised her voice. "I personally accompanied Saran to the hospital for 4 fluids and all necessary tests that night when she fell ill. Do you think I don't know whether she's sick or not? I pulled out the medical report from that day. Read it carefully, all of you. And those who were barking like dogs earlier, you owe me an apology." After passing the report around, the classmates reluctantly fell silent. The document ended up in He Jing's hands. "The results clearly show I don't have any medical condition," the homeroom teacher said angrily. "Shen Nan just has pre-exam syndrome causing stomachache and restroom urgency. How could that compare to Zhou Ran's situation?" The classmates all fell silent. The smile vanished from He Jing's eyes the moment he finished reading the list. His head jerked up as he stared at me in disbelief. I met his gaze with icy composure. My glare sent chills down his spine. Nan, you." I shot him a look of disgust. "He Jing, get the hell away from me. You make me sick to my stomach." With that, I returned to my seat and began working through practice problems, leaving He Jing to endure the scrutinizing gazes of classmates and our homeroom teacher. The homeroom teacher said disapprovingly, "He Jing, Shen Nan represents our entire school's hopes. Her academic success will inspire countless underclassmen to follow. Could you stop holding her back? I'm begging you as your teacher. Her score is 3 1/3 times yours. How can you even have the nerve?" He Jing turned deathly pale and staggered back to his seat. All day long, his ghostly stare followed me. When classmates asked him to visit Sue Ran at the hospital together, he refused. "He Jing and I are nothing alike. I earned my place in this high school, while his family bought his way in. Before he transferred here, everyone knew I was an orphan. Yet no one ever mocked me for it. They even crowdfunded my tuition together, encouraging me to focus on my studies. Ever since Jing arrived, any guy who gets close to me, he'd go and tell everyone about it. His grandmother took me in off the streets. I was his child bride. I'm meant to marry him someday. Since I've eaten the He family's rice, I belong to the He family now. High school life was pretty monotonous for everyone, especially in top-tier high schools, with endless cram sessions and mountains of test papers. Under that kind of intense pressure, when gossip like that surfaced, it practically swept through the entire grade. I became the laughingstock of everyone. Whenever people saw me, they'd start teasing He Jing, your child bride is here. The jeering laughter humiliated me, grinding my fragile self-esteem into the dirt. He Jing was thoroughly enjoying it. With Su Ran fanning the flames, everyone formed a terrible impression of me. They said I bullied Su Ran out of jealousy for her beauty. The label of copycat haunted my youth like an inescapable nightmare, shadowing my every step. Escaping these mountains and getting out of this county town became my sole reason for enduring high school. When school let out that afternoon, He Jing approached me with his usual bag of tricks. To be fair, He Jing was quite easy on the eyes. He knows his strengths and plays the victim card masterfully in front of me, every single time, before I even feel sorry for him. Other girls would jump to his defense. Nan, Grandma made dinner and is waiting for you to come home. I packed my books into my bag. I'm not going back. He Jing, I'm never coming back again. A flicker of panic flashed in his eyes. What do you mean? Literally what it says. I handed him an official form stamped with the relevant department's seal. It clearly stated the termination of adoptive relationship. He Jing, I have no ties with your He family anymore, nor with you. If you keep spreading lies about me being your child bride destined to marry you, I'll sue your grandmother for child trafficking and unlawful confinement. He Jia stared at the words on the watch, lips trembling. Shen Nan, how could you do this? My grandmother raised you all these years. How could you be so ungrateful? And now you're slandering her like this. More and more classmates gathered to watch the commotion. The school gives a day and a half off every Friday, so students from other classes often come to ours while waiting for friends. The classroom was packed with onlookers, both inside and out. He Jing's booming voice reached everyone's ears. The chorus of condemnation against me rose once more. Though He Jing performed poorly academically, he excelled at crafting loaded narratives. He always puts people on a moral pedestal just to criticize them, then positions himself as the most innocent party. I sneered. Your grandmother only took me in to save on your future bride price. I came to your home and had to stand on a stool learning to cook at just 4 years old. I didn't even have decent clothes to wear. In the dead of winter, my feet turned blue from the cold while you got to warm yourself by the fire. When we reached school age, you went to class while I stayed home cutting pigweed and feeding chickens. The village secretary visited multiple times, saying education was compulsory, but your grandmother wouldn't even register me for household registration, terrified I might run away. In the end, the village party secretary said your grandmother had no legal guardianship over me, so they were going to send me to an orphanage. Your grandmother only registered my household residency because she was afraid I'd run away. It wasn't until the police came that I could finally attend school. I was only 16 that year, just a sophomore in high school. He Jing flushed with humiliation before suddenly glaring at me and roaring, "Shut your mouth." I sneered defiantly, though my eyes grew increasingly bloodshot as I spoke. Why shouldn't I speak? Didn't you call me ungrateful? Didn't you claim your grandmother raised me? When I was just 14, your grandmother locked you in my room at midnight. I want you to force yourself on me. Take my body, then I can't run away anymore. And I'll have no choice but to marry you. If I hadn't stabbed myself with scissors and scared you off, you and your grandmother would have ruined me long ago. You're just counting on this being about my reputation, aren't you? That as a girl, I'd be too ashamed to speak up. That's why you've been so brazen. He Jing, I've shed all shame now. All I want is to ace my college entrance exams and live a decent life. You claim your grandmother raised me. Have I ever taken a single penny from your family all these years? My tuition and living expenses were fully covered. I worked side jobs in my free time, yet back at your place I did all the chores. Hell, your grandmother even took my earnings. What exactly has your family ever done for me? What kindness? What loyalty? I advanced step by step, each word striking like a hammer blow. The previously quiet classroom erupted into a chorus of curses directed at He Jing. Have you no shame? He Jing, after all the things you've been saying about this, you made everyone think you and the class monitor were an item, when it was just your pathetic one-sided crush. This is practically human trafficking. The class monitor's grades are stellar, yet Jing still acts like a delusional toad eyeing swan meat. That poor class monitor suffers worse than child labor. A torrent of verbal abuse kept slapping Jing across the face. After all, he's just a high school senior, that age when pride and self-respect mean everything. He kicked over a nearby desk with a furious roar, shoving through the crowd to escape. The desk belonged to the class athletic committee member. The committee member grabbed Jing by the collar. "What's your problem, Jing? Can't take the heat. Why the hell are you kicking my desk? Don't you have your own damn desk?" Jing punched the class rep square in the face. "Get your hands off me, asshole." The two started brawling, inevitably knocking into nearby classmates. Male classmates who'd always disliked Jing quickly joined the fray. What began as a fistfight between two soon escalated into a full-blown brawl. I deliberately ignored Jing's cries of pain, calmly gathering my belongings with practiced indifference, as I slung my backpack over my shoulder and slipped out the back door. I ran straight into our homeroom teacher waiting at the entrance. He looked at me with unreadable eyes. I don't know how long I'd been listening. My lips parted, then I lowered my gaze. Through 2 lifetimes, I've carried nothing but shame toward this mentor. He had high expectations for me and spared no effort to help me throughout those 3 years. The 9-year compulsory education only waived my tuition fees. There were still living expenses and textbook costs at school, especially the photocopying fees for exam papers at our elite high school, which became a significant financial burden for me. In my previous life, I thought it was only after our homeroom teacher repeatedly pleaded with the principal that my living expenses, textbook fees, and copying costs were waived. It wasn't until years later when I returned home and ran into a retired teacher from the school that I finally learned the truth. The principal had only agreed to waive my living expenses. All other fees had been quietly covered by my homeroom teacher, but that wasn't all. He noticed I'd spend my 1 day off each week doing odd jobs, backbreaking manual labor. When he found out, he paid me to tutor his elementary school son at his home. It sounds ridiculous now. I didn't understand the significance of this until I grew up, with years of teaching experience. How could a homeroom teacher possibly fail to educate an elementary school child? He was clearly going all out to help me. Yet still mindful of my fragile adolescent pride, now living a second life, meeting his gaze brought an unexpected lump to my throat. He reached out and patted my shoulder. "Shannan, even phoenixes can rise from mountain villages. Just as phoenix trees grow in valleys, you'll definitely live the life you've dreamed of." His eyes were slightly reddened as my gaze swept over our classmates nearby. Their eyes held either shame or guilt, but not a trace of mockery. That night, I was sound asleep in the dorm. The dorm supervisor called me down to answer the phone. Jing's voice trembled with grievance on the other end of the line. Nan, don't hang up. I need to talk to you. You know everything now, don't you? Suran drugged you, but I had nothing to do with it. Nan, you can't blame me for this. I fought back nausea. Our accomplice is really innocent. His voice choked with emotion. Nan, I was just afraid you'd leave me. Afraid that after getting into a good university, you'd meet someone new and abandon me. I can't live without you. I let out a scornful laugh. Jing, we were never together. Could you stop being so full of yourself? He gasped sharply. You're still mad at me, aren't you? And about the college entrance exams? Nan, even if you rank in the top 10, your tuition would still be sponsored, even if no one else supports you. I'll earn the money to put you through school. Nan. I'll prove to you how determined I am to make things right. I hung up before he could respond. After returning to school, Suran cornered Jing between classes. Why haven't you come to see me in the hospital all these days? Jing shot me a glance before snapping at her with deliberate detachment. Just stay away from me. Suran's eyes welled up instantly. What do you mean? I wouldn't have gotten sick if I hadn't drunk that water you gave me. Jing shoved her away abruptly. Are you out of your mind? I never fetched you any water. He looked at me pleadingly. Nan, I swear I never poured water for her. I let out a scoff and ignored him. Suran suddenly realized something, strode over in 2 steps, and grabbed my wrist forcefully. It was you, wasn't it? I slapped her hand hard. I don't understand what you're saying. Suran said angrily. Are you getting back at me? Why would I want revenge? What exactly did you do to deserve it? Tough question. Suran arched an eyebrow, glancing at Jing, who averted his gaze. Suran let out a cold laugh. Shannan, Aren't you afraid I'll call the police? Your life would be ruined. I smiled. Then go check the surveillance footage. Jing was too guilty to even look at me, and slipped out through the back door. Only Su Ran and I remained in the classroom. Su Ran stood with arms crossed, looking down at me with condescension. Who would have thought? Shen Nan, all these years you've been putting on such an act. Turns out you're just petty and vindictive at heart. But what's the point of your revenge? You still missed the unified exam. The top spot is mine. The school's only direct admission quota is mine. The full 4-year tuition waiver goes to me. Truth is, I don't need those exam rewards at all. But since I know they're your last hope, I'm just not giving them to you. Enjoy rotting in this backwater town for the rest of your life. I let out a careless chuckle. Oh really? We'll see about that. Su Ran tilted her head back with a contemptuous snicker. Keep pretending then. The joint exam results came out during evening study hall. The homeroom teacher placed the printed score sheet on the lectern. He cradled his thermos with a beaming smile. Come up and take a look. Su Ran sat smugly in his seat, staring at me motionlessly with unmistakable challenge in his eyes. I took a sip of water and remained still. I let the other students crowd around the podium to check the scoreboard. Su Ran waited for her classmates to exclaim her name in surprise, but what came instead was, the gap between first and second place is insane, over 100 points difference. Holy cow. Su Ran's grin was practically splitting her face, but the next moment, our class president is killing it. The school beauty isn't even in the same league. Su Ran's face flushed crimson as she sprang to her feet. What are you saying? This can't be true. Like a madwoman, she shoved her classmates aside, rushed to the podium, grabbed the score sheet, and stared at it wide-eyed again and again. No matter how hard she beat her own head or blinked her eyes in disbelief, the name Shen Nan still stared back at me. Her hands trembled as she looked at me with bloodshot eyes, completely broken. She rushed up to me and lashed out. You lied to me, Shen Nan, you lied. I grabbed her hand and whispered coldly in her ear. Do you know why I didn't retaliate when you sabotaged my college entrance exam? Because crushing you would have been effortless for me. I wanted you to see the insurmountable gap between us. Su Ran, when you're outmatched, you've got to admit it. I shook off her hand, and she collapsed to the ground in hysterical sobs, just like my past self, in my previous life. When I woke up realizing I'd missed the college entrance exams, my world came crashing down. Everything turned pitch black. At least there's still the college entrance exam. But after missing that too, I just wanted to die. Later, Jing and I went south for work, and I kept earning money to self-study for the exams, those joint practice tests and college entrance exams I missed that year. For years afterward, I could recite it backward in my sleep, because it was the life I let slip away. When Jing returned from sports practice and heard I'd topped the entrance exams, he froze for several seconds before falling silent. Unlike Su Ran's emotional outburst and screaming, he remained composed. Yet I found myself face to face with an unexpected visitor, Su Ran's father. The man gave me a faint smile in the principal's office. He owns a large supermarket in the city, and his hometown is just a stone's throw from the He family's place. I called him Uncle Su for 18 years. He watched the He family abuse me, even nearly making me stateless, yet never showed me an ounce of mercy. From the villagers' gossip, I pieced together the story of Su Wenyuan's ex-wife, my mother. She died from massive hemorrhage during a difficult childbirth. Both mother and child were dead. Within 2 weeks of their deaths, Su Wenyuan brought home a heavily pregnant woman on the verge of delivery. That woman was Su Ran's mother. After the principal left, only Su Wenyuan and I remained in the office. He looked at me with a tender smile, his face full of paternal affection. You've grown up so well. What an achievement. You're the first child from our village to get into a prestigious university. Truly remarkable. The more he looked at me, the more pleased he became. It wasn't the gaze of a father looking at his daughter, but rather at his own pride and trophy. I said distantly, Uncle Su, is there something you need? He sighed, his eyes instantly reddening. Nan, the truth is, I'm your father. I couldn't acknowledge you before because of your Aunt Jean. Now that you're grown and about to start college, even if she divorces me, I still want you back in my life. I don't believe you, having lived 2 lifetimes. Acting came naturally to me now. Su Wenyuan took me to the hospital for a DNA test. When the results came, I collapsed into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Dad, you never knew how much I wished you were my father when I saw you doting on Ran as a child. I never imagined you actually were my father. Su Wenyuan took me back to the countryside villa he'd built. When Su Ran saw me, she completely lost it, charging over to shove me violently. I collapsed to the ground, silent tears streaming down my face. Su Wenyuan saw red and slapped Su Ran across the face. She's your elder sister. How dare you, get back to your room this instant. Su Ran fled in tears while Auntie Zhang stood by, grinding her teeth in fury. With Su Wenyuan's help, I finally managed to transfer my household registration out of the He family. Grandma He had stubbornly refused at first. Su Wenyuan hired some local thugs to provide security for his supermarket. He Jing got ambushed several times on his way home, beaten black and blue with sacks thrown over his head. The worst time, they broke his leg. Granny He wailed like a banshee before finally handing over my household register. I successfully transferred my household registration out of the He family. What seemed impossible for me was child's play for Su Wenyuan. It takes a thief to catch a thief. After getting the direct admission, I no longer needed to attend school. I stayed home cooking meals and preparing soups for Su Wenyuan daily, playing the role of a dutiful daughter to perfection. These were all things Su Ran had never done before. Su Ran is utterly spoiled. With her as comparison, even my smallest virtues get magnified in Su Wenyuan's eyes. Hearing Su Wenyuan praise me daily drove Su Ran into worsening emotional turmoil. She couldn't stand me fawning over Su Wenyuan, nor him showing me any kindness. She couldn't bear the sight of our father-daughter affection. She threw tantrums, she wept, she smashed plates and bowls. Then Su Wenyuan would scold her, sometimes even resorting to physical violence when things got really bad. And so, every day in the Su household became trapped in this vicious cycle. Under this emotional strain, Su Ran found it impossible to focus on her studies. On the day of the college entrance exam, I showed up right on time. She glared at me furiously. "What are you doing here?" I chuckled. "Take the test again. And I'll show you." Losing to me was no fluke. I looked into her eyes. "It's just the way things are. You'll always be my loser. Every time, you'll lose to me. That's your fate, Su Ran. You must accept your destiny." Her eyes burned with rage and hatred, but beneath it all lay sheer terror. I walked into the examination hall while she remained frozen in place. I messed with her head. When the college entrance exam results came out, Su Ran scored over 200 points less than me. Barely scraping into a second-tier university, Su Wenyuan looked disgusted. "Couldn't even get into a top-tier university. After all the money I've poured into you over the years, the tutoring fees alone could have bought an apartment in the city. Useless waste." Su Ran broke down in uncontrollable sobs. I brought out the soup I'd been simmering. "Dad, please don't be angry. Have some soup first. You're not in good health. You really need to take care of yourself." Aunt Zhang was so furious she knocked over my soup and came at me. Su Wenyuan slapped him right back. The house was in complete chaos. I packed my bags noisily in the dead of night, making sure to be heard. Sure enough, Su Wenyuan came out to see what I was up to. I sobbed quietly. "Mom's gone, and now you're all I have left. Dad, as much as I want to live with you, I don't want to disrupt your life. I found a part-time job at an education center in Beijing. I'll call you often to check in when I can." Su Wenyuan wiped his tears with the back of his hand and handed me a bank card. "There's 150,000 yuan in this card. Use it for now, and let me know if you need more." I politely declined for a while before finally accepting it. During my college years, my outstanding academic performance made Su Wenyuan the envy of all our rural relatives. Compared to me, Su Ran started seeming ungrateful. Su Wenyuan and Su Ran's mother fought constantly. What kind of feelings could you expect from a cheating husband who abandoned his wife and daughter? God knows how many women Su Wenyuan had on the side. I played the sweet-talking viper to perfection, conning Su Wenyuan into funding my master's, PhD, and ultimately my study abroad. For uneducated status-obsessed men like Su Wenyuan, the prestige halo of advanced degrees is downright intoxicating. After returning from overseas, I took a job at Su Wenyuan's supermarket. Within 2 years, I'd successfully siphoned off all his assets, leaving the supermarket a hollow shell, and I left this place too. My household registration was transferred with my university enrollment years ago. Su Ran's mother divorced Su Wenyuan, who nearly lost his mind. Years of debauchery had drained his vitality. He was terminally ill and had called me countless times. I reluctantly answered his call just before changing my SIM card. He begged me for medical expenses, pleading for help. I just smiled and said, "Uncle Su, my mother's been gone 18 years. You've overstayed your welcome by just as long. Hurry up and join her. You won't get a dime from me while you're alive, but after you're gone, I'll cover every penny for your funeral." I hung up before his curses could reach me. He didn't make it through the winter. On the day I died, I stepped back into this city I'd once loathed with every fiber of my being. at Su Wenyuan's funeral. I had them write my mother's name instead, the opera singers, drummers, and monks chanting sutras. I arranged them all for my mother. I even had my mother's grave rebuilt. The guests were utterly dumbfounded, yet none dared to speak up. The stage performance was in full swing while the banquet guests dined contentedly. Someone murmured under their breath, "It was He Jing who pushed me away." The two of them grappled violently, and Su Ran severed He Jing's hand with a single slash. As the police hauled Su Ran away, he kept hurling curses at me. Before the ambulance took He Jing away, he gave me a faint smile. "Nan Nan, thank goodness you're alright." I smirked sarcastically. "Another scheme you and Saran cooked up together. Huh, you really went all out this time. He Jing, what if that hand never heals properly?" His face instantly drained of color. He opened his mouth as if to speak, but ultimately pressed his lips together in silent defeat. "Nan Nan, I'm sorry, don't. It makes me sick." After the funeral, I buried Su Wenyuan far away. When he buried my mother, there wasn't even a tombstone, just a small mound of earth. Now I'd done the same to him. I lied to him. Even after death, I couldn't bring myself to spend money on him. After all, I'm flat broke. Uncle Su should understand me, right? The end. Next story. In my previous life, Shen Yanzhou, as a representative of the jury, blocked my promotion qualification for 10 years, he said. "As my wife, you must avoid suspicion. It's only the second year. There's still a chance." Year 5, Lin Rue, "You should give more opportunities to young people. If the older generation hadn't retired, how could it have been so easy for us to get a job at a research institute? In the last year, I knew that if I didn't get promoted I would have to retire, so I begged him for help. But the next day, the first person on the promotion list was his white moonlight. This time, he who always sounded dignified, he actually used all his connections to reject me again. I was filled with endless regret and was so angry that I almost died. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day when I received my promotion application. 1. Lin Rue, "I'm going to work. Remember to go find the teacher and get your suspension application back." I heard the door close and I sat up suddenly from the bed, looking at this old house that was built 30 or 40 years ago. I realized that I was truly reborn, back to 1977. This year is our second year of marriage. Shen Yanzhou and I were admitted to Northwestern Polytechnical University together, but just last night, because Shen Yanzhou's mother broke her leg, the result of our discussion was, I withdrew my application for suspension, gave up the opportunity to go to college, and stayed to continue working in the military factory. He went to Northwestern University as planned. I wanted to continue to take the college entrance examination the following year, but I got pregnant and had to put my plan on hold. Later, we were separated for more than 10 years. Over the years, I have been raising my children and taking care of my parents by myself while working. But when I finally became a technician and just entered the research institute, Shen Yanzhou came back. Because of his outstanding resume, he became the head of the research institute. Later, I spent 10 years trying to make further progress, but was stuck every year. He rejected me in the first year. Because I was his wife, she was afraid of gossip, so she rejected me. Let me take the exam again next year. The next year, he said I still had a chance and could learn more skills and knowledge. Until the 5th year, I was still the one who was eliminated. I asked humiliatedly why. Why did the leaders of the entire research institute think that I had strong skills? But he was the one who rejected me. He was silent for a while and then said, "Lin Rue, you should give more opportunities to young people. If the older generation hadn't retired, how could it have been so easy for us to get a job at a research institute?" In the last year, I knew that if I didn't get promoted I would have to retire. So I begged him for help, but the next day, the first person on the promotion list was his white moonlight. This time, he has always been pompous. He actually used all his connections to reject me again. Took me the last time, opportunities for advancement. That's when I knew. It turns out that we were separated for more than 10 years. There is always someone by Shen Yanzhou's side. That person remained alone all his life for him. No marriage, no children. Just to be with him forever. Finally, he couldn't bear to see her leave the institute. So he rejected me. The moment I saw the list, I subconsciously looked at the two of them. Shen Yanzhou felt relieved, and the woman cried with joy, and I felt like a sacrifice in their shameful and tacit agreement. Think of this. I covered my face with my hands trembling, tears falling from between my fingers like beads from a broken string, quickly soaking the bedding. This is a stupid decision. I spent my whole life to repay it. 2. After I calmed down, I made breakfast and ate it calmly. I went to the factory to find the leader again. Application. I haven't submitted it yet. Why did you change your mind? I smiled sheepishly. I'm really sorry, leader. The leader waved his hand and returned the application to me. Comrade Lin, it is an honor for our factory that you were admitted to Northwestern Polytechnical University, the day before yesterday. I was still trying to persuade Comrade Shen that it would be a pity if you didn't go. I didn't expect that you would change your mind today. It seems that Comrade Shen's words are still effective. I smiled, took the application form, thanked my leader, and then left the factory. As soon as I left the factory, I tore up the application form and threw it into the trash can. Looking at the debris in the trash can, I couldn't help but smile to myself. It turned out that the leader had advised Xin Yanzhou to let me go to the Northwest, but he never mentioned it. He even urged me to come earlier to get the application form. In my previous life, I used my own financial future to support him so that he could study peacefully, but he found a close female friend in college who shared his feelings with him. This also blocked my promotion opportunity for that year. In the last year, he even used all his connections to keep Bai Yuiguang and get rid of me. 3. I returned home with red eyes. He sat there in a daze for most of the day before he stood up and packed up his luggage. School is about to start and the journey is long. The train ticket I bought before has been taken away by Xin Yanzhou, who said he would help me refund it. When I bought the ticket, there were no tickets available for the same day, so there was a day between me and going to the Northwest. I left a day early, which means I bought a ticket for tomorrow morning. I have to find a way to get the ticket back. Otherwise it might be too late to buy another one. I made lunch in silence, just treat it as, it is for myself and Xin Yanzhou in past and present lives. Let's have a farewell dinner. 4. When Xin Yanzhou came back, the last dish was just served. Here is the prescription. You need to go to the pharmacy to get your medicine every week. Xin Yanzhou handed me the documents in his hand. I'm leaving the day after tomorrow. Shall we go to the photo studio and take some pictures together tomorrow? I think of my past life. Before he left, he also took me to take a photo. For the next 10 years, he lived a carefree life, and I spend my days guarding this photo, take care of his parents for him, take care of children, and also sacrificed his own future. I pulled the corner of my mouth and said, okay, wait until you can find me tomorrow. While eating, I asked him, by the way, have I refunded my train ticket? Xin Yanzhou didn't even raise his head. Not yet, I was planning to go this afternoon. What's wrong? Give me the ticket, I'll go and return it. I paused. I just happen to have time. It just so happens that I need to get a certificate this afternoon, and I'm worried that I won't have enough time to return it. Xin Yanzhou handed me the ticket. I held the ticket in my hand and breathed a sigh of relief. Afternoon. After Xin Yanzhou left, I took out all the things we usually use at home. Give away what you want to give away, and sell what you can sell. 5. That night, when Xin Yanzhou came back, he also brought his mother back with him. In his previous life, Xin Yanzhou would not bring his mother over until the next day, so when I saw him bring the person back, I was stunned for a moment. What's with that expression on your face? Don't you welcome me? Xin Yanzhou grew up in a single-parent family. It wasn't easy for his mother to raise him, so he is very filial and his mother is also very strong. In my previous life, I understood how difficult it was for her, so I went along with her in everything. However, even though I served her for more than 10 years, until her death, she was still extremely picky about me. Now that I've been reborn, I naturally won't spoil her. Xin Yanzhou didn't tell you that you would come today, so the house hasn't been cleaned up yet. You have to wait. When Xin Yanzhou heard me calling him by his name, he looked at me in surprise, because I used to call him Ian. He thought I was unhappy because he suddenly brought his mother over, so I hurriedly explained, I just happened to go get some information today, and a good friend of mine happened to have a car, so I went to pick up my mom. Anyway, it doesn't matter whether I answer it today or tomorrow, it's all the same. Seeing that her son was trying to please me and even had to explain to me why he brought her back home, Xin's mother looked unhappy. Xin Yanzhou saw that his mother was unhappy, so he hurriedly spoke, let's give our room to mom first, and we'll live in the other room. I don't care, I'm leaving tomorrow, so it doesn't matter where I live. Mother Xin moved into our room and her complexion became better, but it's not peaceful. Sometimes she asked me to serve tea, sometimes she asked me to pour water, and sometimes she asked me to wash her feet. I was tidying up another room and pretended not to hear. Seeing that I had a stern face, Xin Yanzhou did everything himself. After I had finally packed up my supplies, he lay down on the bed and cried out that he was exhausted. Arui, my mom is a very particular person, you should pay more attention to her in the future, okay? Don't let her feel uncomfortable living here." "Oh," I responded casually, as soon as I lay down on the bed. Shinyenjo came over. I moved aside in annoyance. "Your mother is next door." His breath fanned my neck, and his hand reached in from under my shirt. "She won't hear it." But just as he finished speaking, he heard Shin's mother say, "Lin Rue, come and help me go to the toilet." I closed my eyes in mockery. Shinyenjo stood up resigned to his fate. "Where's your wife? Why are you here again? Go to bed quickly, I can handle it myself. You have to meet your friends tomorrow. And you'll be leaving for the Northwest the day after tomorrow, so don't get too tired." Then I heard a lot of ping-pong sounds. It was obvious that Shin's mother was deliberately making noises to express her dissatisfaction. I automatically blocked out Shin's mother's words and fell asleep quickly. 6. I woke up at 6 o'clock the next day. When Shinyenjo heard me get up, he thought I was going to buy groceries. "Mom likes to eat pork liver, see if you can buy some for me." I didn't even turn my head. After washing up, I took the luggage that had been prepared long ago and took the train to the train station. When I arrived at the train station, I felt hungry and bought a few pancakes from a stall outside the station. I originally wanted to make some pancakes at home yesterday to eat on the way, but Shin's mother came. In order to avoid trouble, I had to give up. After 4 days of swaying on the train, I was exhausted by the time I arrived at school. After completing all the formalities, I fell into a deep sleep on my bed in the dormitory. I was woken up by several roommates. Like me, they came here from all over the world. After everyone had rested enough, they planned to go to the cafeteria to eat together. On the first day of school, I thought I would not see Shinyenjo in class. After all, his mother still needs someone to take care of her. But in the blink of an eye, I saw him push open the door and walk towards me aggressively. 7. Shinyenjo roughly pulled me to the playground outside the classroom. "Lin Rue, what are you doing?" Shinyenjo looked very angry, as if I had done something extremely treasonous. "What the hell are you doing? Didn't we agree that you would give up going to college and stay at home to take care of mom? Why did you come to the Northwest without telling me? Do you know that my mother is alone at home with no one to take care of her? How are you going to let her live in the future, huh?" After saying that, he roughly pulled me forward. "Go, pack your things and get back here now. I've already told the teacher at school and told you to take a temporary leave of absence." I slammed his hand away. "What did you say?" Shinyenjo looked at me with a sneer. "Lin Rue, what on earth are you doing? Do you still look like a wife? You left my mother at home and enjoy yourself here. Do you have a clear conscience?" I stared at Shinyenjo blankly. I felt that the person in front of me was extremely unfamiliar to me, even though I had lived with him for my whole life in my previous life. "You mean your mother is injured? As a daughter-in-law, it is my duty to give up everything and stay to take care of her. And I came here to study at the university that I went through so much trouble to get into, just to make trouble, to enjoy myself. Is that what you mean?" Looking at my extremely unfamiliar expression, Shinyenjo's breath was held. He seemed to have really calmed down at this moment. He couldn't help but come over and hold my hand. "I'm sorry, Rue, it's my fault. I was just too excited," he argued. "But that's also because I saw that you were suddenly gone, and your things were gone too. But we clearly agreed that you would give up your studies temporarily and stay at home to take care of mom. Didn't we agree on this in advance? But you came here without saying a word. You said you left a mess at home. What do you want me to do?" Shinyenjo looked haggard. It seems that not only did he not sleep well during the few days on the train, but he must have also had a hard time during the 2 days at home, too. In her previous life, her mother was difficult to take care of. When I was taking care of her, I had to get up many times a night. For several months, I hardly had a good night's sleep. But who has ever understood the hardships I went through in my previous life? And Shinyenjo had only taken care of his mother for 2 nights. How come his mother has become a mess? I sneered. "Shinyenjo, yes, we agreed before that I would give up my studies and stay at home to take care of your mother, but you've only been taking care of her for 2 days, right? How is it? Is it easy? That's your own mother. Even you think that's a mess. Why can you just pass this mess on to me?" Shinyenjo was furious. "Why? Because she's my mother. She's your mother-in-law. Why do you say that? I lost my father when I was young. It was my mother who raised me and helped me get married. My mom has arranged everything for me. But what about now? I can't stand it anymore." "Shinyenjo, you also know that's your mother, not my mother. Your mother has had a hard time. She works very hard. Isn't that caused by you as her son? it's caused by your father, but, what right do you have to ask me, your daughter-in-law, to pay it back, just because I married you? Should I give up everything and work like a slave in your Zhou family, Shenyanzhou? Pa, Shenyanzhou became furious and slapped me directly, my face unconsciously tilted to one side. Hey, why did they start fighting? Yeah, what happened? Tisk tsk. A grown man hitting someone, you are worse than pigs and dogs. I poked my tingling cheek with my tongue. It was a long while before I looked up. Shenyanzhou put his hands behind his back and said guiltily, Arui, I'm sorry, I'm not, let's get a divorce, Shenyanzhou, I said calmly. What? Shenyanzhou's face suddenly turned pale. I said, let's get divorced. After I finished speaking word by word, I turned and walked towards the department head's office. 8. In fact, the idea of divorce. I had it on the first day I was reborn, however. If I had brought it up at that time, I'm afraid this trip would not have been so smooth, so I've been enduring it. Unexpectedly, Shenyanzhou would cruelly abandon his old mother and still come to school. What's even more despicable is that as soon as I arrived at school, I went to find the teacher without permission and told him that I had to give up my studies. Oh, that sounds good, I'll take the exam again next year. Let's not talk about whether I can pass the exam next year. The fact that he totally ignored me made me feel extremely disgusted. In my previous life, what did I get for him, for the children, and for that marriage? It was he who found his confidant in college. After he became my leader, he blocked my promotion opportunities for 10 consecutive years. Every time I tell my children about my grievances, they always stand on his side. Thinking that it is not easy for their dad either, I think it's good for me to take care of them both at home. As for my wishes, my dreams, my future, in their eyes, it's not worth mentioning. I've already taken the wrong path once, and I absolutely will not let myself fall again. 9. When I explained to the department head that Shenyanzhou's mother had only broken her leg and was not paralyzed in bed and needed constant care, the department gave up my studies. Oh, that sounds good, I'll take the exam again next year. Let's not talk about whether I can pass the exam next year. The fact that he totally ignored me made me feel extremely disgusted. In my previous life, what did I get for him, for the children, and for that marriage? It was he who found his confidant in college. After he became my leader, he blocked my promotion opportunities for 10 consecutive years. Every time I tell my children about my grievances, they always stand on his side. Thinking that it is not easy for their dad either, I think it's good for me to take care of them both at home. As for my wishes, my dreams, my future, in their eyes, it's not worth mentioning. I've already taken the wrong path once, and I absolutely will not let myself fall again. 9. When I explained to the department head that Shenyanzhou's mother had only broken her leg and was not paralyzed in bed and needed constant care, the department head also felt speechless. My grades were very good, even 40 points higher than Shenyanzhou's. In addition, I worked in a military factory for 3 years and was an outstanding employee in the factory. Not only does he possess some confidential knowledge, but his math scores are also quite outstanding. In the eyes of school leaders, my abilities are definitely much better than those of Shenyanzhou, who was admitted to university solely based on his grades. At this time, everyone is saying that women can hold up half the sky. Many scientists and researchers are women. Many women have even devoted almost their entire lives to scientific research, so the department head did not think that I should give up my future and help a man who was not as good as me just because I was a woman. When the department head asked about the slap marks on my face, of course I did not hide anything and told Director Sue that I was beaten by Shenyanzhou. Comrade Lin, you can stay here without worry and study hard. The motherland needs talents like you. You don't need to worry about other things. Just go back without worry. With the school teacher's words, I finally felt relieved. As expected of a top university in the country, the teacher did not believe Shenyanzhou's words just because of my gender and thought that I should give up my studies and go back to take care of the elderly. I thanked the teacher gratefully and returned to the classroom. I don't know how the school leaders handled the matter next. Anyway, after Shenyanzhou was called away once, he never told me again when he came back that he wanted me to give up my studies and go back to take care of his mother. And I also devoted myself to the ocean of learning. It was more than half a month later when Shenyanzhou stopped me again. Lin Rui, how long are you going to make trouble? For so many days. You never asked me if I had enough to eat or if I was warm enough to wear. You even didn't wash my clothes. What on earth do you want to do? I looked up. After looking at Shenyanzhou for a while, I remembered that Shenyanzhou had also come to school. I rubbed my sore eyes. First of all, I didn't make a scene. Secondly, whether you eat well, wear warm clothes, or even wash your own clothes has nothing to do with me. I told you before, we're getting a divorce. If you thought it through, we can go through the formalities right away. If not, please stay away from me. I still have a lot of books to read and I don't have time to chat with Shinyenjo about these trivial things. Lin Rue, are you serious? Do you really want to divorce me? Shinyenjo seemed very surprised. I thought I made it clear that day. I looked at him coldly. Shinyenjo couldn't believe it. Just because I asked you to go back and take care of my mom, you want to divorce me? Even after more than half a month of school, you're still angry and ignoring me. Do you really need to? Before I could say anything, someone called out from afar, "Student Shen." I looked up and saw a woman in a white dress with long black hair draped softly over her chest. She came in front of us and stood beside Shinyenjo. "Student Shen, this is my sister-in-law, right?" After saying that, he looked at me again, his eyes full of persuasion. "Sister-in-law, I heard that you left your mother-in-law behind and insisted on coming to school. And because classmate Shin advised you a few words, you are still angry. I'm not saying anything bad about you, but as a wife, you still have to be filial. Otherwise, even a good man like Mr. Shin will become cold-hearted." Shinyenjo pursed his lips and said, "Lin Rue, is what you just said true?" Before I could say anything, the woman interrupted again, glancing back and forth between us with a curious look. "What are you guys talking about?" She looked at me curiously with her wet eyes. "Sister-in-law, what did you say? Why is brother Shin so angry?" "Good job." Just now it was classmate Shin. Now he called her affectionately. I pulled the corner of my mouth. "Who are you? What does our conversation as husband and wife have to do with you? You're so eager to come up to me. Don't you have any thoughts about your elder brother Shin?" I sneered disdainfully. "The woman in front of me is called Anya. In the previous life, she was Shinyenjo's confidant in college. In my last year of promotion, she was the woman who made Shinyenjo do everything he could to eliminate me for her, Anya. But what I didn't expect was, in this life, Shinyenjo had only been in school for more than half a month, and he was already involved with Anya again. It seems that they are really destined to be together." Anya's originally curious and innocent look was rebuked by me. She was stunned for a moment, and then her eyes quickly filled with tears. How could you say that to me?" Anya looked at me in disbelief, then ran away wiping her tears in humiliation, a white dress fluttering in the wind. The thin figure looks like a piece of jade that will break at any time, which is heartbreaking. "Lin Rue, what are you talking about?" Shinyenjo looked at the woman running away with heartache, then turned around and started to speak harshly to me. Pa. I slapped him hard. He covered his face and looked at me in disbelief. "Lin Rue, what are you crazy about?" "Pa." I slapped him again with my backhand. "Lin Rue." Shinyenjo was furious and raised his hand. I took a step back and said, "Shinyenjo, I'm at school, but you're flirting with other women. Aren't you afraid that I'll go to the teacher and report you?" Shinyenjo was furious, and I have nothing. We are just close friends. I almost vomited when I heard that. Oh. I walked coldly past Shinyenjo and returned to the dormitory. Now that they haven't done anything too outrageous, I naturally won't say much, and I don't want to focus all my attention on them. Since Shinyenjo doesn't want to leave now, let's just drag it out. The first semester passed quickly, because I had outstanding grades and had worked in a military factory before. I took a secret mission before the holiday of the first semester and went to a research institute for a year. No one knows about this. Naturally, I didn't tell Shinyenjo about it. 11. A year passed in the blink of an eye. I returned to school only when my work at the research institute came to an end. I will graduate in half a year. I need to come back early to handle the formalities. After graduation, I will go directly to the research institute. As soon as I came back, my roommates who I hadn't seen for a long time were all surprised. We agreed to go to the cafeteria for dinner. But I didn't expect that as soon as I entered the door, I saw Shinyenjo and Anya sitting together intimately. The two of them were almost leaning against each other, their movements intimate, like a couple in love. My roommate looked at me awkwardly. "Lin Rue, you don't know yet. Your husband Shinyenjo is a popular figure in school because of his excellent grades. There are many people who secretly like him. Look, that one is the one closest to her." I knew that my roommate was referring to as Anya. I nodded and said nothing. Shinyenjo has a good appearance and good grades. If it weren't for this, Anya in her previous life wouldn't have stayed single for his whole life. In the end, she almost became his white moonlight. It was just a matter between the two of them. But there were a lot of rumors in school. It's just because I, the real person, didn't say anything, so everyone just watched. But now that I'm back, I think the issue of my divorce with Shinyenjo should be put on the agenda. I took a wrong step and walked forward. Hey, are you eating? Shinyenjo and Anya paused, and both looked up at me at the same time. Lin Rue. Shinyenjo stood up suddenly. When did you come back? Where have you been this year? Compared to Shinyenjo's excitement, Anya had a calm expression. She stood beside Shinyenjo and looked at me with hostility. I heard that you two are always together in school, showing off. What do you think, Shinyenjo? Should we get a divorce? Shinyenjo's expression changed and he instantly distanced himself from Anya. Anya looked at me subconsciously. Are you really willing to get a divorce? Her roommates looked at her with disdain. Although nothing was said, she could understand the meaning. Anya's face turned red, but she still withstood everyone's mocking gazes and looked at me steadily, as if insisting on an answer. Do you really want a divorce? Shinyenjo wanted to say something, but when he saw the brave Anya, he seemed to be touched. He held Anya's hand tightly and looked at me. Okay, since you want a divorce, I'll grant you that. I nodded, and went with Shinyenjo to get a divorce certificate that same day. I went to the principal's office just after my divorce. I made a detailed report about the affair between Shinyenjo and Anya during the year I was away and gave it to the principal. Compared to Shinyenjo, a student who appears to have good grades but has bad behavior, the principal promised that he would give me a satisfactory explanation. A few days later, I heard that Anya had dropped out of school. Of course, before dropping out of school, she and Shinyenjo had already obtained a marriage certificate. My roommate is very gossipy. You don't know, the school clearly let them choose. Only one of them can stay, but that Anya actually took the initiative to say that she would drop out of school and let Shin stay. Tisk tsk. It's not easy for a family to raise a college student. She actually gave up her studies for a man so easily. I really can't understand it. I smiled bitterly and shook my head. She is not the only fool like this. It was me in my previous life. But in this life, it is Anya. But the beneficiary was Shinyenjo. It has to be said that whether in his past life or this life, Shinyenjo is a master of PUA. But after Anya left, Shinyenjo began to appear in front of me more frequently, no matter what he said. If I wasn't so stubborn and didn't understand him, he wouldn't have divorced me. 12. He always asked me indirectly where I had been during the year I disappeared and what my plans were for the future. I know that there has been a rumor in the school recently that 3 people will be selected to go to the research institute. I had great grades but disappeared for a year. This year, no one knew where I went. However, Shinyenjo was a bit more thoughtful. He was worried that I had carried out some secret mission this year and would become one of the people competing with him for a place in the research institute. I turned a blind eye to his various temptations. In fact, what Shinyenjo didn't know was, selecting personnel to join the research institute is one of my tasks when I returned this time. Although Shinyenjo appears to have good grades, he spends most of his time on being close to Anya. It has never been within my consideration. 13. Soon, it was the day to announce the list. On this day, the school auditorium was full of people. Many people looked at the school leader sitting on the stage with trepidation. When the time came, the leader took out a list and read out the names of 3 people selected to join the research institute. Standing on one side of the stage, I saw Shinyenjo clenching his fists tightly. As Xiao Zhang's voice slowly fell, I saw Shinyenjo's face turn pale. Zhou Weigua, Zhang Qing, Lu Jing. Among the 3 names, none of them is him. I looked at Shinyenjo's pale face. It was as if I saw my past life, time and again. I stood in front of Shinyenjo, the judge, like a sinner facing trial. When everyone said I was innocent, Shinyenjo, this man, who is my husband, has sentenced me to death time and time again. After coming back to this world, I became a judge. It feels so refreshing to see Shinyenjo miss his dream. Don't accuse me of abusing my power for personal gain. I selected 3 people from the list. Zhou Weigua's grades are better than Shinyenjo's. Zhang Cheng's practical performance is better than Shinyenjo's. But Lu Jing is a returned talent. And he has core technologies that are better and more powerful than mine. Why should I choose Shinyenjo instead of someone like this? That would be my dereliction of duty. 14. Okay, these are the 3 people who will be entering the Research Institute this time. Please welcome our selected engineer from the Research Institute, Mr. Lin, to the stage to speak. Everyone is warmly welcomed. The principal's words had just fallen. I was invited to the stage. I looked at Shinyenjo in the audience and suddenly stood up. Then a pair of eyes stared at me, as if I had done something wrong to him. I looked away and didn't look at him. After I finished my speech, as soon as I walked out of the auditorium, someone grabbed my hand hard. Lin Rui. Shinyenjo's eyes were red. Why are you selected as a member of the Research Institute? Why did you choose these three and not me? You are seeking revenge, aren't you? You hate me for divorcing you and marrying you, aren't you? Do you believe that I will report you for abusing your power for personal gain? I shook off Shinyenjo's hand and said coldly, whatever. Behind him, Shinyenjo punched the wall heavily. Lin Rui, you will regret this. 15. That day, I was called to the office. In the office, Shinyenjo stiffened his neck, obviously very unconvinced. Comrade Lin. Student Shin is obviously very dissatisfied with this personnel selection. Not only did he come to me, he also sent a letter of complaint to the Research Institute, saying that you abused your power for personal gain. So, could you please explain to us why you chose the other three people instead of Mr. Shin? The principal glanced at Shinyenjo with a half-smile. It will also make student Shin convinced. Shinyenjo's face turned pale, but he still stared at me. I sighed. Put the prepared materials on the table, then stepped back and said to Shinyenjo, take a look at these. Shinyenjo's unwilling gaze fell on the stack of information. After he finished reading it, he stumbled out of the principal's office in a daze. He lost this battle completely. The information not only shows that the other three people's abilities surpass his in all aspects. Two of them were very quiet and had expressed outstanding insights in their respective fields. Even Zhou Weigua and the leader had met them. As for him, Shinyenjo, he just had slightly better grades and a better-looking face, and was highly praised in school. Even students like this are plentiful in school. Even if he were to choose from this large group of students, Shinyenjo might not be able to rank in the top 10. How can a person like Shinyenjo have the nerve to accuse me of abusing my power for personal gain? I took 3 students with me and disappeared from everyone's sight overnight. 16. It was 20 years later when I returned home again, and I had become the director of a research institute. Mom, is this where you used to live? My adopted children looked at the city where I had lived for more than 10 years with curiosity in their eyes. I smiled and said, yes, look here, this is the former military factory. Your mother worked here for 3 years, unfortunately. The factory has now become an ordinary steel plant. It's no longer the way I remember it. Hey, are you Lin Rui? I didn't expect that the guard actually recognized me. He walked out of the guard room. Oh, are you really a forest engineer? I heard that you are at the Research Institute now. When did you come back? I didn't expect that the security guard still remembered me, so I chatted with him for a few words. After a few words, a door next to him suddenly opened and a man was driven out by a woman with a broom. Bah, I've been working like a slave for you my whole life, and you still dare to flirt with other women outside. Get out of here. As the door closed, the man turned around with a dark face and wanted to say something, but suddenly noticed our group. The man was stunned for a moment. Lin Rui, Shinyenjo, whose appearance had changed greatly but was still thin, strode towards me. Mom. My son took a step forward and subconsciously stood in front of me. My daughter also held my arm tightly to protect me. Mom. Shinyenjo glanced at the two of them, then looked past them and towards me. Lin Rui, is it really you? Are you back? I don't care about the past anymore. So when facing Shinyenjo, I was also very calm. My son saw that we seemed to know each other, so he stepped aside. Shinyenjo's eyes were still fixed on me. Lin Rui, they are all your children. You remarried. I just nodded, took my 2 children to the government guest house, and left. I still find it funny. Why does Shinyenjo think that I would not get married for him, although for various reasons, I am indeed not suitable for having children, but my husband loves me very much. His sons and daughters are also orphans of comrades who gave everything for the country, and they are all very filial. I have a successful career and a harmonious family. I feel that I am living a much more comfortable life in this life than in my previous life. In the evening, many old friends got together. Someone told me that Shinyenjo is now a teacher in a school. At first, he divorced me. He was flirting with Anya at school again, and his reputation was already ruined. When I was selecting people to join the Research Institute, because I did not choose Shinyenjo, he wrote a letter to the Research Institute to report me. Although the school and Research Institute later became aware of the whole story, but no matter in front of the leaders of the school or the Research Institute, the 3 words Shinyenjo were marked with a big cross. This resulted in Shinyenjo being kicked back to his hometown by the school when he was assigned a job after graduation and was assigned to work in the military factory where I used to work. He wanted to join the research institute every year, but was rejected every year. This year is our second year of marriage. Unfortunately, I was not the one responsible for the selection afterwards, as I was proven innocent time and time again. The three words Shinyenjo were completely blacklisted by the research institute. Such a person with unclear mind. I can't afford the research institute. In the end, even the military factory didn't want him. He could only go to school to work as an administrative teacher. Speaking of this, someone mentioned Anya. They said that Anya became a housewife since she married Shinyenjo. These years, not only did they have to take care of their mother-in-law, but they also had to take care of the children, and their lives were extremely chaotic. The two of them fought at home every day. Shinyenjo and Anya almost became the laughingstock of the whole area. After hearing this, I just smiled. The past is gone with the wind. I will be back to my post in a few days. What does everything here have to do with me?